Hey everybody, welcome on back. It's Twisted History podcast hosted by myself, my wife of 25 years, the lovely and vivacious St. Anne, wearing white jeans because we are taping this before Labor Day. And the third and final member of this hosting team is none other than the esteemed Jeffrey Q. Vibert, who I consider a close friend and a confidant. Vibs, you have something to say?
I heard the white before Labor Day is gone now.
It's gone.
Oh, is that no
I just
longer?
didn't want to correct you. I didn't want to be the one to do it, but
I heard that, and then
It's
wearing
true.
like, is it black and brown or is it black and blue at the same time? That's gone
Black
too.
and brown, yeah. I've never been a fan of the dark suits with the brown shoes.
I don't like that.
Never been. I mean, I'm okay with tan slacks, brown shoes, and like a blue sports coat or something like that. But some people wear a full dark suit, be it navy blue or sometimes black, and they wear brown shoes with it. Is that back? That shouldn't be back.
I don't know.
like the white sole sneakers with a suit or the white sole shoes with a suit. I don't like that.
This whole episode is on stuff that's coming back. I'm glad to say I did the steak snake draft last week with the Chicago guys, and what a lot of people are saying is that ordering your steaks medium is now okay. Like everyone was always medium rare people, but particularly for a ribeye, for people who didn't watch the meat draft, it was pretty funny. We all got to just take one cut of steak. Clem went first and picked filet mignon, and I absolutely eviscerated him for it. I sort of didn't take the draft that seriously. I picked the fifth piece of meat I picked was my own cock. So Clem wound up winning the draft with with a terrible palate.
They went around the office asking people who won the draft. I didn't see the selections, but I also said my own cock. I was like, my own cock's the best piece of meat. And
you
like,
guys.
I was like, yeah, I'm so original, I'm so witty. And they go, oh, Large already said that. And like, that's why we're on the same team.
Yeah, you're damn right. When I want to feel better, I listen to stories of patriotism, and this one is brought to you by BetterHelp. As a matter of fact, Twisted History is sponsored by BetterHelp. When your schedule is packed with kids' activities, big work projects, and more, it's easy to let your priorities slip. Even when we know what makes us happy, it's hard to make time for it. But when you feel like you have no time for yourself, non-negotiables like therapy are now more important than ever, particularly if you have kids. They always have us like kind of work in something. I think if you have kids and you're lucky enough to have kids who share a lot with you like our kids do, it's sometimes not enough. Like they need another outlet just to talk to somebody with no repercussions, so to speak, where they can just kind of freely talk and get some emotions out and whatnot. BetterHelp's one of those places that provides that. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Never skip therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/twisted today. Get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/twisted to get 10% off your first month. Appreciate you, BetterHelp. And like I said, what makes me feel good is patriotic stories. There's an argument that I'm the least patriotic I've ever been in my life. This country, for the most part, is a fucking embarrassment, particularly heading into this calendar year, this election year, right? But I still get a fucking freedom heart on every time I get a good patriotic story. Don't you, like to a degree?
Yeah, I'm very patriotic.
Yeah, you are.
I'm big never forget. Like I think, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. Soldiers are soldiers. They don't have a
and it doesn't even have to be like somebody who, jumped on a grenade, even though we tell plenty of those stories here, and I love those. Like simply driving in the big rig last year at Talladega with Mick and Spider and Liam with the 100-foot flag waving behind us while everyone was like saluting as we were going by, because like the veterans get up and all salute. Mm-hmm. And that everybody, Talladega, so let's say there's 100,000 people in the stands, they're all looking at you. I felt a rush of blood to my groin.
I don't know if it's patriotism, but just people helping people gets me a good boner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Like someone going out of their way to I don't know, risking their life. I think that's patriotic, I guess.
Yeah.
They don't see.
Red-
I don't think
no, it's not
soldiers
for the country.
choose a side.
No.
I think they choose red, white, and blue every time.
Are you getting softer?
My erections?
No. I've heard
different
about those
story.
things. Still break a brick on them. But you getting softer as you're aging. I mean, I used to joke around or listen to jokes about people that as they got older, they started crying to AT&T commercials and whatnot. And I used to think that it was just kind of a cliche thing. And then
From
you
the guy
fast
who cries at
forward,
everything.
and I'm 52, and I was crying while taking a dump the other day because I got down a rabbit hole of soldiers surprising their family.
I love those.
Those are the best.
And it's that fucking same song, I'm coming home.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden there's a girl on crutches trying to do something in gym class, and she turns around and there's her fucking Green Beret dad. And I'm just a puddle
Yep.
while I'm in the most, I don't know, I'm just out there. You know what I mean?
You're
like
exposed.
I'm expelling bowel. Yeah. Oh. So, I don't know. I think I'm getting
Love
soft.
those. Love soldiers coming home and they see their dog for the first time.
Oh,
and like,
dogs
I
go
love it.
crazy.
First
2 years
they're
and
then-
suspicious, right? And then they're like, wait a minute. It's him. And
Yeah. So I don't know. So anyway, those types of things make me happy. I think it's one of the reasons why we continue to do this podcast, finding stories that kind of make us happy and want to share with people, and hopefully they'll tell them around the dinner table. And there's a bunch of them in this episode, even though we haven't given away what the theme of this episode is just yet. But we'll start with the Patriotic Fact, brought to you by BetterHelp. During the Olympic... Oh, by the way, John Kelly, our esteemed producer, is not here today. John just got back from like 3 weeks in Paris with Donnie, where they did a shitload of content, live vlogs or live streams. I don't even know the term anymore. They got a bunch of access to various Olympic teams. He said the access was great. They both jumped in the Seine. They did all this kind of stuff. So that stuff has already been leaking out, obviously, as they were doing it going along. I'm sure they have bigger like pieces of content that they're going to be putting out. So tune into that. John will be editing this. So I'm sure he's going to leave that in because he is a narcissist. But anyway, so speaking of the Olympics and talking to John last week, one of the things that I had noticed during the Olympics is that it's customary for visiting countries to dip their flag when they pass by the host country, particularly in the opening ceremonies when they do the procession. Not the opening ceremonies where they make fun of the Last Supper. The opening ceremonies, where they have a guy with his balls hanging out, but they say it's a Dionysian type thing. It's fucking embarrassing. But like during that opening procession, as they go by, everyone dips their flag as they pass by the host country, except the United States. The United States is the only one that doesn't dip their flag.
never.
Yeah, because freedom doesn't bow.
It's like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
Bowing
so
no one.
as you
I
go
bow
through,
to no man.
yeah, it's like very Aragornish, right? Yeah. Frodo, get up. You
Frodo,
bow
do
to
not
no man.
bow.
Oh,
Yeah.
that got me.
Oh,
that
yeah.
fucking got me
Yep.
too. You
Yep.
bowed. He said it to all the hobbits. You know what I mean? You bow to no man.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you're right. He did. And all of a sudden, I got a little chilly.
Also, when the Nazgul's like, no man can kill me.
Just off
I
the
am
helmet.
no
Yeah, I
man.
am no man. I do not identify as such.
Yeah.
But this all started in the 1908 London Games. And we did the Twisted History of the Olympics. It was a very good episode. So many moving parts with the
Yeah.
different cities, just in particular how, as you work into wartime and stuff, who was not allowed to come versus who had a hard on. Like, it was a pretty great episode, I thought.
Yeah, we talk a lot about
Yeah.
Jesse Owens in that
Yes.
episode
Yeah.
and what
Yes,
he did.
my favorite Olympian of all time.
So I know we didn't dip our flag in the 1936 like Berlin Games,
Mm-hmm.
but I thought that was just because it was like, all right, we're not supporting Hitler, but we've just never done it.
Yeah, so in 1908, I don't think we brought this up in the Twisted History of Olympics, but in 1908, the 1908 Olympic Games were originally supposed to be in Rome, but then Mount Vesuvius happened. Not the Mount Vesuvius that happened in 79 AD, obviously, where 16,000 people, I think, had perished. Mount Vesuvius has gone off at various times during history. I think they know when the next time it's going to go off too. Somehow seismologists or whatever the hell they're called know. So Mount Vesuvius did erupt back in 1908. No, it was actually 1906, so as they were getting ready for the Olympics. And it killed only 100 people, even though it ejected the most lava ever recorded from a Vesuvian eruption. So there's multiple ones. The most lava that's ever been shot, the biggest load Mount Vesuvius has ever produced, was in 1906. The natural disaster caused enough of a financial strain on the Italian government that they had to relinquish their hosting duties, and their Olympic funds were then diverted to reconstructing Naples. Okay? The venue was changed to London, and the cost of relocating the games was covered outside of by the host nation by donations. And again, it wasn't as lavish as it is now 100 years later. Like now, you wouldn't be able to have public donations to pick up the billions with a B that it takes to host an Olympics, but they were able to get it off the ground in 1908.
Don't you think it's better back to basics?
Yeah, I
Don't you
think
think
so.
they should go back and just be like everything is just
Yeah.
strip it all down without all the fanfare?
I think London should be the host city for the Olympics every single year.
Oh, do you?
They have the infrastructure. It's kind of centralized location. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think was it Brazil? Like, it was ruining everything, the economy, the stadiums. Like, it was so much of a struggle to get them up. People were dying while making them.
Bigger isn't always better.
Yeah.
I just think they should just strip it down and just let it get back to running. Let it just get back to, whatever the sport is, just be that.
We talked about it in Twisted History Olympics. It's coming back to mind now. They have these things called golden elephants. I think it comes from the term that in India, where the elephant is such a revered animal that you could be starving and your whole village can be starving, but an elephant, it's like the sacred cow, can walk through your village and nobody thinks to just cut its hamstrings and just eat for the rest of the year because it's so revered. And so you have these golden elephants, I think they're called. Somebody can check me on that. I don't give a shit. Where they build these stadiums in places like South America. And then when the Olympics leave, these state-of-the-art stadiums are basically just overrun
they're
with
overgrown.
weeds and feral dogs.
Yeah.
Feral cats are just hanging out in this. We saw it in Atlanta. Like Atlanta, which is a major city, when the Olympics left, they had all these facilities. So if you're a shooter, for example, you can go and shoot at the Olympic, or at least you used to be able to, the Olympic fucking shooting range for like $3 because nobody was using it. It was just this gigantic thing.
So wasteful. There's just
yeah.
so much waste.
Oh, so
It's crazy.
I say bring it back to Athens. Fuck it. Everyone wear togas and stuff like that. Anyway, so in 1908, there was an Olympic gold medal shot putter from the United States. His name was Ralphie Rose, and he refused to bow his flags towards the English, saying, "This flag dips to no earthly king." That's another one, man. That's
awesome.
right. That's that freedom boner a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I was going to have Ralph on the show, but he died in 1913 at the age of
Wow.
28 from typhoid fever in San Francisco, so he was not available. After Ralph, American Olympians refused to dip sporadically at the next handful of games until, as Jeff had mentioned earlier, 1976, when the games went to Berlin. Those games were the first to be televised, which Hitler thought, oh shit, I'm going to have this on television. I can kind of pump my shit throughout the world, my anti-Semitism and whatnot. But it didn't work out that way too much because it wound up becoming more of Jesse Owens, a coming out party with his 4 gold medals and whatnot.
You think they watched it in Plattsburgh?
Maybe, yeah. Before those games, before the 1936 games, the U.S. Olympic Commission decided our athletes would not dip their flag for Hitler. And the tradition stuck. So much so that Congress codified the U.S. flag code in 1942, saying the U.S. flag should not be dipped for any person or anything. So I like that.
Good.
America.
Hell
Yeah, America. And obviously the U.S. flag code I don't think is punishable by any kind of real thing. That's why we have flag burnings and stuff like that all over the place by weird people with blue hair, right? On to the episode. Annie said we need to do a twisted history of New Jersey. And I agree. The state's fascinating, but I wasn't sure we'd do it because I was already working on some other topics. And then a gentleman who listens all the time, his name is Sam W., had sent me this this note. And it was a follow-up to our legal dumping episode. And this follow-up is very New Jersey centric. And this is the letter from Sam. I got another letter last night from a dad whose kid was diabetic, and he felt bad. He felt better. Or no, it doesn't feel better. He appreciates more. And we did that episode on diabetes. Remember when I told you about the Montreal hospital when they give kids
Yeah,
needs
they
and
all-
they started working out, like waking up. So he's like, that episode means so much to me. He's like, and now here's a picture of my kid. Like his kid was like doing drywall or something like that.
Aw.
He's like, he's a healthy kid. I think he's a big time pitcher and stuff like that. So, good stuff. He's like, you guys don't know how much hearing you sometimes helps. Whatever. I think that's
Did you read it with an
You're
accent?
welcome.
yeah,
I read it
exactly.
with a
Changing
Jersey
lives.
accent?
Yeah, no, but this is a different guy. I just got that other one last night. I wasn't going to share the gentleman's name in case he didn't want to have his name out there. But Sam W. doesn't care, and he said, "Hey, Large, I love the new episode on illegal dumping. Day one Twisted History fan here, and I appreciate all the content you and Vibs and John have given us. I grew up at the shore in Avalon, New Jersey. We've been there many times, haven't we, Annie? Mm-hmm. Avalon's where we went. Wasn't there a wedding there?
Yeah. That was
Tommy Bent's daughters?
Yeah. Well, no, she was Asbury Park.
Asbury Park. I'm sorry, I get the two mixed up. I grew up in the shore in Avalon, New Jersey, and in college I was a lifeguard on the beach patrol. In 2008, I was sitting on my stand near the north end of town when someone brought me a medical needle that they found washed up. Remember we did the illegal dumping episode?
Oh, yeah.
What was the name of the barge that was going by?
Oh, the garbage barge.
The garbage barge.
Yeah.
God, what a time to be alive.
Yeah. I said thank you, and I put it in a cup to throw out. It was not unusual for people to bring us sharp objects they found, but this was the first time someone had found a hypodermic needle. About 5 minutes later, someone else brought me another needle, and before I could finish talking to them, another person brought up another needle. I quickly realized this wasn't just a rogue piece of trash, so I called it into Beach Patrol HQ, and everyone got out of the water.
We got a hypodermic needle.
Yeah, we got a
in
hypodermic
here.
needle problem in here. Smokey, can
We're gonna need you.
Shh, over. Hear you loud and clear. Clear the beaches.
If you're a lifeguard, any excuse to get on the walkie-talkie. That's
Yeah. Over the next hour or so, dozens of needles started washing up for about a 10-block stretch. Everyone was out of the water. Dozens of needles start showing up. We kept everyone away from the water, spent the next few days walking up and down the beach at the tide line, picking up needles. Eventually, they stopped washing up and everything went back to normal. It turns out that since these were medical waste needles, they had some serial numbers or marking on them that quickly led them to a dentist from Philadelphia. He had a summer house right outside Avalon, and it turns out one day this cheap scumbag decided to be better for him to take his boat into the inlet and dump bags of his medical waste into the ocean instead of paying to properly dispose it. Luckily, no one got hurt, and the incident lasted only a few days. The dentist got probation and a $100,000 fine, which seems like a slap on the wrist, all things considered. Thanks again for all the twisted content. I still go back and listen to 5 to 10 episodes a week. That's a lot, right?
That's a ton.
We have a ton. We have a ton out there.
It's fun to go revisit the previous episodes. Take care, Sam W. Thanks, Sam. I looked into it, and sure enough, Thomas McFarland, 61 years of age, from Winewood or Wynwood. I don't know how they pronounce it. I'm not going to try. Pennsylvania. Wynwood? Steve Wynwood? Roll with it, baby?
Remember that concert? Oh God.
Jeez, that's terrible.
Steve Winwood. Something about a cafe, diner, something. Tom's Diner? Is that one?
No, Tom's Diner was Suzanne Vega.
Right?
Oh.
Steve Winwood was like, roll with it, baby. You want me?
I just listened. I've heard him before, but I listened to like Michael McDonald for the first time.
Oh
ever.
no. Oh no. He's not going to stop. He's
Oh.
not going to stop.
I was
Things
like,
will
oh, this
never
is
be the same again.
Thank God he
This
read
is
that
music.
letter already.
Oh, it's great shit.
Yeah.
Me and Willie, man, used to love that shit during breakfast. But I do check up on a lot of stuff. I wonder if somebody goes through this episode or any other episode and just facts checks, just snopes the shit out of us. I know I put a couple of wrong facts in this episode in particular. See if you can find them. But this wasn't one of those. I looked in. Thomas McFarland pleaded guilty in Superior Court in Cape May County to an unlawful discharge of water pollutants in 2008. He admitted that he piloted a small motorboat into the nearby Townsend's Inlet at the north end of Avalon on August 22nd, 2008, and dumped a bag of medical waste generated from his dental practice. This waste included 260 needles, 180 used cotton swabs, and several capsules that held filling material. But it was a serial number of a wrapped dental drill bit. So, and Sam got it right. You know, there were stuff on probably the needles, but it was a drill bit that led authorities to his practice, and that's how that scumbag got banged. So it's a sign. Annie says, do New Jersey. And then Sam W. follows up with New Jersey. So I don't know what else I need. So
We could do 5 episodes on Jersey. 'Cause
easily. So this is the
honest to God,
twisted
I have so
history
much
of New
stuff.
Jersey. This is the twisted history of New Jersey, brought to you by whoever we're bringing
Part
by.
1.
Right? Yeah. How familiar are you with New Jersey, Vibs?
Oh, I dabble. I've been in New Jersey a couple times.
Have you been? I know you've been once with us for dinner, and you seemed.
I
and you took
figured
a
out-
fucking bus.
I figured out New Jersey Transit. I rode it. I loved it. Yeah, I dated a New Jersey girl for a little bit. Went
Jersey
to
girls are the
Thanksgiving
best.
in Belmar, New Jersey one time.
Really?
Yeah. So no, I'm kind of familiar with Jersey.
Okay.
It's
Did you
it's
go
a-
to
the-
DJs? Bar
Did not
A?
go to DJs. I've been to the. We did a thing, a high noon happy hour type thing where I went to a bunch of bars in New Jersey, and I went to most of them except DJs and Bar A.
And
But
that was like Jeff D. Lowe and stuff, right? Wasn't he part of that?
Jeff D. Lowe was not really part of it, but
Okay.
he's the king of the shore, and he.
Is he though?
He's not the king of the
Oh,
shore.
he's the king of the shore.
Is he?
Is that what
I've
he
seen a
tells
lot
you?
of people down at the shore, and he's the king.
Is he?
Oh,
More,
yeah.
I thought Rico's
Isn't he
big in the
from
shore
Arizona?
too.
How is he the king of the shore?
Rico, he went there,
Rico's
planted his
Staten
flag. Rico is he's a DJ's boy.
DJs, yeah.
guy.
Being
man.
a DJ's boy and going down there often does not make you king of the and cons. If you said cons, I would agree with you.
Yes.
Cons lives and breathes and dies for Jersey.
I hate this chair. I'm sitting in. For people
like
who are
to
watching
switch?
this on Rumble,
I could swap with you.
I'd like you to. I'm sort of fat guy, little coat today, but that's fine.
I feel the opposite. I feel like I'm a little guy in a big chair.
Do you like that? Yeah.
I don't like
You
that
wanna
though.
switch?
No. It's too late now.
Really?
But New Jersey, I feel like it's low hanging fruit for New Yorkers to make fun of almost. You know
I
what I
don't
mean?
know what-
Like
like-
coming from Indiana, all I knew about New Jersey was, oh, it's so gross. You don't want to go to New
It's a
Jersey.
punchline.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a bunch of
Jersey's the
like
best.
factories and gross. But then whenever I went to New Jersey a couple times and I went inland and I went to the shore, beautiful. Beautiful little state.
There's everything. And listen, I grew up in New York, so I always use New Jersey as a punchline too. I know people when I was growing up who lived in Staten Island who use New Jersey as a punchline, and they lived across the street from an active dump.
Right. Staten
Like,
Island's
you know
like,
what I
well,
mean?
at least we're not New Jersey.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
all right,
And I
okay,
don't
flex.
And it wasn't until I moved out there and you got CPAS because there are some shit towns in New Jersey.
Oh, yeah.
Shit,
But that's
dangerous,
everywhere.
only policed by drones, like bad towns in New Jersey. And there's a lot of bad shit in New Jersey. But the more that I venture out a little bit, particularly like Western, there's some just beautiful, beautiful parts of it. So there's going to be for the most part, I think it's going to be well, you guys decide whether or not we get through this and if it's a pro-Jersey or anti-Jersey podcast. Because a lot of times when you do the history of anything, you sometimes concentrate on the negatives.
I'm so pro Jersey. It's going to be hard to debate. that
And
with
so
you.
that's my point. So Vibs is a kind of agnostic to a degree because he's had limited
gonna
whatever there,
convert you.
and he's pro-Jersey, and I'm coming around on it as a native New Yorker. So it is what it is, right? All right, that's it for this week. We'll see you guys next
The only
week.
bad thing about Jersey is the accent. Like we can't shake it. I don't know how to shake it.
I don't
I've
mind
tried.
the Jersey accent. I don't mind it. I mean, when you start to branch away from the Jersey accent and like the white trash outside of Boston accent, I think is worse. And I also just doing stuff with the Abel brothers, the Pittsburgh accent,
Like that Delco type. Yeah.
the Delco accent.
Yeah.
I think that's much worse than anything that you get in Jersey.
Okay, good.
Because Jersey and New York accents kind of blend together.
And there are different parts of Jersey that have different accents.
that's true.
I'm not the worst.
No.
I'm bad, but I'm not the worst.
That was my next question. Are there big differences between a New Jersey and a New York accent, or are they kind of
Definitely.
they blend?
They're close, but like even people from the Bronx talk differently than people from Brooklyn. You know, it's just it's all such a vast thing that you do have different dialects.
Definitely. When we
even
went
though
to
you
dinner
share
in
borders.
Ridgefield, their accents in Ridgefield Park, their accents are real Jersey.
Yeah.
I don't know why. But you know when someone's from Ridgefield Park, you're like, oh, Ridgefield, Harrington, okay. They're
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah, you can always tell when someone's from the region, as we call it in Indiana, the largest, South Bend, like
Yes.
Gary area.
He says he lost his Brooklyn accent when he went out to Indiana.
Yeah.
I lost my accent when I went to college, yeah. And I think purposely I tried to get rid of it. Like,
When you're
as
calm,
people
when
would
you're angry,
stop
it
and
comes
be
out.
like, oh, you know. That's where I lost most of it.
If you drink, do you fall back into the
Yeah, if
accent
I'm
a little
angry,
bit?
if
Comes
I'm
out a
tired, if I'm drunk, I
Yeah.
tend to, or if I'm with my brothers, then I tend to
Yeah,
do that. I'm
yeah.
like Kamala Harris. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah, yeah.
I don't
Except
know,
you're
Reverend could
actually
get down
from
like that. Like she got all, you know.
Yeah, but based on the situation, you're switching it up.
You actually had the accent, though, originally.
Yes, but not as heavy as some people because my mom and dad both. I grew up in a house that was filled with Irish accents, so I had a slight brogue when I was a kid before I started going to school. So let's say up until first or second grade, I had a little deedle to me. You know what I mean? Like hands off my lucky
Your dad
charms.
definitely has a strong one.
Yeah.
Let
so,
me see your dirty taters.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
Fucking hell, Bob's your elbow.
Bob's your elbow.
What do you guys say?
Yeah,
What-
Bob's your uncle.
Bob's your
That's
uncle.
Cockney. That's not our shit. Let's give you some facts. New Jersey is the most densely populated of all 50 states.
Really?
I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
I wouldn't have guessed it.
No, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't have guessed it. But again, because we're so close to so many different metropolitan areas, a lot of our more suburban or spread out stuff still has that overflow population from from Philly or from New York City. And, all points within New Jersey also, which has its own big cities.
I guess it makes sense. Yeah. I was
It's
trying to
not
think of another
big.
state I would say, but like New York City, like upstate New York is empty.
Yes.
And California's got its like empty parts too.
100%.
New Jersey, everyone's just clumped together. It's a small
love it.
place. Yeah.
I will tell you right now, the top 5 most densely populated states in the union, the top 5. I think everyone would be surprised to hear that Jersey is number 1. New Jersey is number 1. Rhode Island is number 2.
Really?
Because it's so goddamn small.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
maybe it's not when you think about it. Massachusetts, it's number 3. Also not big and has a couple of major towns in it. Then Connecticut and then Maryland. And the ones that make sense is the least densely populated ones, because I think the least densely populated one is like Alaska, North and South Dakota, Wyoming, Montana, something like that. I kind of remember. But anyway, so most densely populated place is New Jersey. It's the 5th smallest state by land area, and the state capital is Trenton.
Ooh, delicious tomato pie.
Yeah, Trenton makes while the world takes. But the state's most populous city is by far Newark, New Jersey. New Jersey is the only U.S. state in which every county is deemed urban by the U.S. Census Bureau. And again, because of their proximity to major hubs like Philly and New York City. As of 2022, a little bit dated, best I could do, Jersey had the highest annual median household income at $96,000 of all 50 states. And almost 1/10, right? 1 out of 10 households in the state are millionaires. The highest representation of millionaires among all states. That's kind of dubious.
Yeah, they do very well.
5th smallest, most densely populated, highest average income per household, and the most millionaires. So it's not just you and I, Annie, as filthy rich neighborhoods. New Jersey is an LG, and this reason I threw this in. Love is love, right? I don't see any of that shit. 2 holes in a heartbeat, right? That's all I want. New Jersey is an LGBTQ plus friendly state, and now is home to more, this is a term, gay villages.
After the YMCA people,
Yeah.
right? The
Yeah.
gay
Yes.
villages, they invented those.
Per square mile than any other U.S. state. New Jersey has more gay villages per square mile than any other U.S. state. Although I don't know if I've necessarily ever walked into like Greenwich Village. Like there's gay areas. I guess that's what they mean by it. I did a little bit of a dive onto it, and they also call gay villages. I think you're going to love this. They call them gayborhoods. Isn't that fucking
Nice,
great?
pleasant little name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I live in a
that.
bunch of gayborhoods.
Like Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
A gayborhood.
I don't know. Like, so what's the gayest part of New York City? It's like Christopher Street in the West Village.
I
Yeah,
thought it
I
was.
would think.
Is that Hell's Kitchen? I don't know.
Hell's Kitchen is a little bit further up and on the west side.
Right.
Chelsea, then Hell's Kitchen. I don't know if Hell's Kitchen is one of the more gayer ones. Sounds.
Oh, I've heard it's
Really?
all the rage.
know
You're
much
more
about
up
New
to
York
date than
City.
me with the gayborhoods.
I know a couple
Get
people that
Patty in
live
here.
there. Yeah, no, I've heard him say it. I've heard
Yeah.
Pat say it, and then I know like, I think Nate lives there, and he's like, it's
Yeah, Nate lives right above Blazing Saddles. 34% of New Jersey residents identify as Christian, but New Jersey also has the world's largest Hindu temple outside of Asia in Robbinsville, New Jersey. Diners are iconic to
Yeah.
New Jersey. Every time you mention
Best.
Jersey
Disco
diners,
fries.
people from New Jersey say disco fries. It's just what they do.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. I could tell you there's a couple of being married to a New Jersey girl forever. You mentioned diners, and I don't think they can think of a cousin that they recall so fondly as they do disco fries at a fucking diner.
What are disco fries?
That's embarrassing to you.
I'm not gonna tell you now.
French fries, double fried. They always do them crispy, which is just such a blessing. And they usually melt mozzarella cheese or mozzarella
about to say
and brown gravy.
It's the
Yeah,
they're so
melted
good.
mozzarella and brown gravy on a disco
little
So
fry.
it's kind
extra
of like
black
a
pepper.
poutine
Yeah,
almost.
kind of like
Is that-
poutine. Yeah.
Right?
It's
What is-
poor man's poutine.
Okay.
Yeah, no curds. The state has over 600 diners, more than any other place in the world. New Jersey is the only state to have never had a state song. Right now, there are 2 states that don't recognize a state song. One of them, I think, is Maryland, and the other is New Jersey. The only difference is Maryland used to have one. New Jersey's never had a state song.
Nope.
Even though people think like Born to Run or any of that shit. You know what I mean? Like
Birds. We
yeah,
have our-
Bon Jovi.
Yeah.
Something like that. New Jersey currently has 6 teams from the major professional sports leagues playing in the state, although 1 Major League Soccer team and 2 National Football League teams identify themselves as being from New York, right? Which we all know.
And apparently the Philadelphia 76ers might be getting a stadium in New Jersey.
In New Jersey?
Yeah.
Oh, just on the other side of the river.
Right.
Okay.
Very nice.
But they'd still be called the Philadelphia 76ers.
I believe so, yeah.
still the New
But
York
you know,
Giants.
New York. Oh, I guess New Yorkers can't say anything because they're football teams. But New Yorkers going to clown them
Of
so
course.
hard, like, oh, you're not even Philadelphia, you're New Jersey.
I don't know why, and I realize that it's a bigger market and it sounds better to be from New York, but I don't know why they put up with it. I don't know why they just say, give us one of them. So
Yeah.
they have the New York Red Bulls, fucking Red Bulls. You should
Remember
call
the
them the New
Cosmos?
Jersey
They
Red
used to be the
Bulls.
Jersey Cosmos, weren't they?
I think so. New York Giants, New York Jets, and then the Philadelphia 76ers now, all playing maybe within the
Right,
confines,
right.
but none of them do, which is crazy. And the only
They let them
one
walk all over them.
walk all
Jersey's
over.
so generous. We're just generous people.
But from the Big Four, because there is no baseball team, correct? Yeah, there's no baseball team.
Right.
So you have soccer, hockey, football, and basketball. Out of the Big Four, the only one that proudly has it Jersey in its name is the one that you're wearing on your head now, the New Jersey Devils.
That's right.
Yeah, so that's the only one, the only major league sports franchise to bear the state's name.
You tell me we're doing the Twisted History of New Jersey, you bet your ass I'm wearing my New Jersey
Fuck
Devils
yeah.
hat.
New Jersey is split up into counties, Vibs. I'm not talking to Annie here. There's 21 of them. There's 21 counties in New Jersey. Would you like to hear all those counties?
I'm not going to do that to anybody. Nobody wants to hear that.
I would love nothing more.
I wish somebody at this
Atlantic, Bergen, Burlington, Camden, Cape May, Cumberland, Essex, Gloucester, Hudson, Hunterdon, Mercer, Middlesex, Monmouth, Morse, Ocean, Passaic, Salem, Somerset, Sussex, Union, and Warren.
Yeah, so those
Incredible. I feel like you watch the bottom ticker on the news, waiting for your school to be canceled back in the day, and you just memorized them all.
You know what? That would be a
That's
great
a
way
good
to
thing,
learn,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
No, it was just Sister Gloria, 4th grade. She
Yeah.
just made us
Oh,
learn
she's
them
like, "You gotta
all.
learn
She was
'em."
one of those, and everybody in Jersey loves Jersey.
Yeah.
So you know.
Oh, I
and
know.
they're very protective of it. I would tell you that out of those 21 counties that Annie just recited expertly and in alphabetical order,
But nobody wanted to hear.
we live in Bergen. We live in Bergen County, and it's one of the only counties I think left that has blue laws. For some reason, we just don't have stuff open on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so if you come up to New Jersey, which is the land of shopping malls, Bergen County is the county of shopping malls. We have a ton of shopping malls in and around our house even. Annie and I are very close to at least 2, maybe 3, including Riverside Square.
Yeah, and we're getting a Costco.
Yeah, so there's all these malls and whatnot open, and none of them are open on Sunday. We have a giant Garden City Plaza Mall right next to us. The only thing that's open on Sunday is the Grand Lux Cafe, which I think is the high-end Cheesecake Factory. Yeah.
The movie theaters.
That's
And
saying
the
a
movie
lot,
theaters.
too.
Yeah, the movie theaters, the Jamba Juice,
Buy
perhaps.
toys. I think toy stores are open. I don't think you can buy. I don't know what falls under.
You used
the
to be able to
Blues.
buy video game stores like GameStop were
Radio
able to
Shack
be
was
open.
open.
Radio Shack was allowed to be open on Sundays, but in general, like Home Depot's
see
not
what it
open
is.
on Sunday by us. You can go to mom and pop hardware stores, which is great, like Waldwick Home Hardware,
Right.
which probably would be out of business if they didn't have that one day a week Sunday where everyone kind of gets shit done.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're like, oh, I got to go and get, light bulbs or something like that. So I realize why it's around. There are some racial undertones to blue laws. I wonder if anybody listening to this also lives underneath the blue laws thing. Because when I moved out from New York City with her to be a New Jerseyite, I was shocked. You know what I mean? Particularly if you're a 2-income family where both parents are working 5 days a week, you only have 2 days to really get shit done.
Yeah.
And New Jersey in Bergen County then cuts that down to 1 day.
But it is just a hop skip to go to the next count. Like,
Oh no,
where it's not.
but
I
it's
think
just
you-
strange, and I don't see it. Chris Christie tried to remove it, and he was met with huge opposition. He tried to remove it during the pandemic, then also just so people could go get their masks and their fucking hand soap. But yeah, it's
Toilet
one of those
paper,
things.
brother.
Yeah, yeah,
toilet
exactly.
paper's
Load
never
up on
coming
toilet
back,
paper.
yeah.
Supermarkets are open. You can do all that.
Yes,
it's just,
you can
it's
still
really
do it.
just like clothes, and like they just try to keep it very, family oriented, where you just kind of stay like it's a holy day. They just try to keep it old school.
Yeah.
I'm cool with tradition.
By the way, for people who are watching on Rumble as well, on top of me being in a weird chair, I'm also in a bush today.
Oh yeah,
Like,
you got that
I'm in the
between two
trees.
ferns
Got a little
thing
canopy,
going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Is
all
that
of a
Zach
sudden.
Galifianakis?
Yeah, I don't know whether to host this show or masturbate. To be honest with you, I feel like I'm hiding in the fucking bushes. But but we'll continue on.
I thought that was a Louis C.K. joke for a second because he was like jerking off in plants. You
That's
know what
right.
I mean?
Oh, was he? That's right.
Yeah.
Historically, New Jersey was the right because we're a history podcast, right? It was the first to sign the Bill of Rights, and the third state to join the Union that same year. It's also the site of more Revolutionary War battles than any other state. You're welcome, including the Turning Point Battle in Trenton in 1776, where George Washington defeated the British by crossing the Delaware River, right? At night?
Yeah.
So all that stuff had gone down in Jersey. More Revolutionary War battles than any other state. I hope I'm dropping this as knowledge to people. And I hope you're walking away being like, oh, well, respect.
Right?
Some fucking respect on the state's name. Geographically, is some of the greatest landscapes imaginable. It's called the Garden State because it's a leading producer of blueberries, cranberries, asparagus, eggplants, tomatoes, and a bunch of other stuff. Top 10 in all of those.
All right, now that blew my mind.
Yes.
That's crazy.
People, Jersey sweet corn. What's the name of the place that we'll shout them out? Mavs, Top Buns, Mavericks.
Oh, down in Middletown, New Jersey.
Mavericks.
Oh, yeah.
Mavs Top Buns. They just sent me some cinnamon buns. Vibsy, I will talk to you because Annie had one. How does a Jersey sweet corn cinnamon bun sound to you?
I don't exactly know what those words mean.
Same exact. I had no idea what was going to go on.
Yeah.
So it was like a corn muffin and a cinnamon bun had consensual sex. Mm-hmm. And
It
corn
was so
muffin
good.
bent that cinnamon bun over, just fucking horse pounded it. 9 months later, they had this thing, and it was great. They probably can't put that in their brochure, but and they gave us a bunch of other ones: peanut butter and jelly, this strawberry coconut, this coffee caramel, all these different ones. And so it was pretty good. It was called Top Buns. But Jersey sweet corn, elite. Jersey tomatoes. People are like, oh, would you ever grow a garden, start a garden? Nope. Jersey tomatoes are fucking elite.
Yeah.
The best in the world.
I never would have guessed that Jersey was pumping all these things out.
Yeah. Blueberries, asparagus, eggplants, a bunch of other stuff too. It also has its fair share of shitholes. Highlighted probably, if you had to ask the average New Jersey guy what the worst town in New Jersey is, I think, what would you say the worst town in Jersey is?
Well, it's Camden.
Camden. Yeah.
I'm
So
trying to think
is
of what
that-
they
is-
call them drones that police them. I can't think of it. It's like
After a certain time at night, they just send drones out. They won't even send cops out.
Right.
Camden's bad.
Is Camden close to Newark?
no.
No, Camden's actually close to Philly. It's got a beautiful zoo, or no, aquarium. It's got a beautiful aquarium. They got
Yeah.
this place, Donkey's Place, that has Auntie Bourdain's favorite cheesesteak. And it's not a traditional cheesesteak. So there's reasons to go to Camden. I don't mean to say that at all. But if the average crime rate in New Jersey is that 100, and so I'll round it up, 200 people for every 100,000 New Jersey residents, 200 of them will be a victim of some sort of violent crime on average in New Jersey. For every 100,000 people, 200 will be the victim of violent crime. In Camden, that number increases eightfold. For every 100,000 people in Camden, 1,600
It's crazy,
are victims. Yeah. So you're 8 times more likely to be the victim of a violent crime in Camden than
Right.
in the average of New Jersey. And that rate, that violent crime rate, is the highest in the state. So
And it's on locals because they all
Yeah.
live there because most people don't go from
Yeah.
outside to
Yeah.
Camden.
here's another fact you may have heard only here on Twisted History, but New Jersey is a peninsula. Not only is it a peninsula, it's the only true peninsula in the United States. Florida people might be clutching their pearls because of that, but part of the western border of Florida is landlocked before it goes and becomes almost like a southwestern border with the Gulf of Mexico. So it's not a true peninsula. But if you look at New Jersey, geographically, right? Its whole northern border, the slanted part of New Jersey up top, that whole northern border is New York State. So it's New York State to the north. Its whole eastern border is the Atlantic Ocean. And then its whole western border, all the way up the state until it meets up with New York, is either the Delaware Bay or the Delaware River, which makes New Jersey a peninsula. And there are parts of New Jersey that you can stand on and see the sunrise and the sunset because you're on eastern and western shores all at one
I
time.
love that.
So it's kind of cool. Yeah. Yeah, so I think it's, as a matter of fact, like they always show you stuff now on social media about how maps are skewed in order for people to read about a circular Earth on a flat 2D map, and they show how like Greenland really isn't that big and all that kind of shit. If you look at a true geographic map, right, that's not bent for our pleasure, the southernmost tip of New Jersey, which I believe is Cape May, is actually below the Mason-Dixon line. That's how long this state is. Firsts. These are New Jersey firsts. They're the first organized baseball game. It was played in Hoboken in 1846. The New York Baseball Club defeated the Knickerbockers 23-1 in just 4 innings. The first professional basketball game was played in Trenton in 1896, 50 years later, between the Brooklyn YMCA and the Trenton YMCA. Trenton won 15-1. The very first college football game was between Rutgers and Princeton in New Brunswick in 1869, and Rutgers won 6-4. The game was played on a historic field that's now a parking lot. And when those teams met again 8 days later, Princeton won 8-0. The first drive-in movie theater was built on a 10-acre plot in Camden County in 1933. Moviegoers paid 25 cents apiece, plus 25 cents for the car, but your group was capped out at $1. So if you had a pickup truck, throw somebody $1, and you could bring 6 people into the fucking movies. The first Miss America was chosen in Atlantic City in 1921. It was originally called Atlantic City's Inner City Beauty Contest, had over 1,500 photographic entries, but ultimately only involved 10 contestants, and 16-year-old Margaret Gorman from Washington, D.C. won. I was automatically going to inject in here that she had huge sloppy knockers, but then I'd seen that she was only 16 when she won, so I'll save that for some other poor woman in this podcast. It was the first place to make M&Ms, first place to make Band-Aids, first place to make the light bulb, first place to make saltwater taffy, Play-Doh, condensed soup, the first copper mine, the first boardwalk, and the first U.S. brewery was Van Puten's, which was in Hoboken. That might be Van Putten's, but I don't know.
You know how you mentioned Band-Aid? You know the jingle? I am
Stuck on Band-Aids.
You know who wrote that?
No. Oh, that would be Barry Manilow?
New Jersey guy.
New Jersey guy, Barry Manilow. Boom.
Just putting it out there.
Yeah. There's another dump in New Jersey called Patterson. Patterson.
Is that an Air Force base?
No, so Patterson, does it have an Air Force base in it?
We got an Air Force. I think we have a. I think Indiana has a Patterson Air Force.
Oh, you do?
Base.
Okay, yeah. Patterson is not the greatest city. Also, high crime rate and stuff.
Used to be.
Yeah. So Patterson used to be the absolute hub of the silk industry in the United States.
Gave us Lou Costello.
It used to be called Silk City.
They
Patterson.
called it the Silk Road.
Yeah. Silk City is a cool nickname though for a
is
place like Patterson. Come to the
awesome.
Silk City.
Yeah.
And then nearby Orange, New Jersey, which I think is probably about a 15-minute drive from Patterson, was home to one of the Radium Dial companies.
This is wild.
Let's say that again. So, what is it now? Orange, New Jersey was home to one of the Radium Dial companies. That doesn't mean anything to me. Does that mean anything to you? I don't remember this at all. Have you ever heard of the Radium Dial thing?
Is it the they paint the face
Yes.
watches of the face with
Yeah.
like glow in the dark?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And they give the job to women,
Yeah, damn right. Why wouldn't they?
Irish women.
Oh, yeah. Why wouldn't they? Get those
Yeah.
Colleens in there. For those who don't know, 1917 to 1926, United States Radium Corporation, I'm going to refer to it now as USRC, United States Radium Corporation, was engaged in extracting and purifying radium to produce luminous paints, which were marketed under the brand name Undark, because you couldn't darken them up. They were glow in the dark for all intents and purposes, so radium paint was called Undark. And radium, for people who don't know, is a chemical element. The symbol is Ra, who's also one of my favorite people at Barstool. Totally different, though. Rear Admiral
Very
and radium have nothing to do with each other.
Remember when we asked him to watch Bridget?
Yeah.
When she went to Boston?
Yeah. Rear Admiral's the best. Remember when Rear Admiral petitioned fucking Erica? He's like, yeah, me and Lodge got to go
to
to
go to Ireland.
Ireland, yeah.
They're like, she was like, is it going to be sponsored? We'll probably get a sponsor or something here, but is there some? No, it's just like a Donnie thing. But me and Lodge are going to go through and he'd
would've
ask
been
me about
awesome.
it,
It would've
and I
been
was like,
very cool.
Done. Let's plan it out and stuff. Like, go upstairs, talk to sales, see if we can get a pitch together. And as I'm telling him that, he's like, no. And he just walked into our office. She was like, no.
She shut that down so
shut that down
fast.
really quick.
Because what could go wrong?
Yeah. Yeah, but I would have had a great time. Good riddance.
I'd watch.
Yeah,
Right?
so would I.
Like a
so
train wreck, right? It would just be so much fun to watch. Tragic, awful, but
So-
fun to watch.
radium is Ra. That's the symbol is Ra. All isotopes of radium are radioactive, and when radium decays, it emits ionizing radiation as a byproduct, which can excite fluorescent chemicals and cause something called radioluminescence, which is very cool. It's just glow in the dark, right? It causes things to glow in the dark. However, out of all the radioactive elements that occur in quantity, not the real rare ones, but the ones that occur in quantity, radium is considered the most toxic. That's not good. And the USRC needed a ton of this undark radium paint because the company was a major supplier of radioluminescent watches to the military. Their plant in Orange, New Jersey employed about 300 workers, almost all of them were women, to paint radium-lit watch faces and instruments, all while misleading their employees that radium was safe to handle. So every time you look at your watch and the hands glow in the dark or the numbers glow in the dark or the whole watch face glows in the dark, know that it's something different now, but back then it was painted with a toxic thing called radium. Each of the painters who worked at USRC had to mix their own paint in a small bowl and then use the regular old camel hair brush to apply the glowing paint onto the dials and the hands and the numbers. The rate of pay was about $1.50 per dial, so the girls earned about $3.75, which is about $90 a day in 2024. And the brushes, these camel hair brushes, would obviously lose their shape as they were used to paint. So the USRC encouraged their workers to sharpen the brushes, bring them back to a point with their lips. So there were signs on the wall of the factory that said, lip, to point it out, dip, paint. Lip, dip, paint. Every time they're ingesting small amounts of toxic
That's
radium.
nuts.
That's, yeah, I hear you.
This is probably where you should have thrown in all the sloppy women.
Oh yeah. Well, they all had sloppy tits. So they were told to use their lips or their tongues to keep their brushes sharp.
I want to see the signs.
Because the true nature of radium had been kept from these workers, who became known as Radium Girls, they also painted their nails, their teeth, and their faces for fun with the deadly paint produced at the factory. Eventually, many of these ladies became sick. Over 30 died from exposure to radiation by 1927. Dentists were actually the first to see this deadly pattern among these dial painters. After many of the women developed anemia, dental pain, loose teeth, lesions, and necrosis of the jaw. Necrosis is whenever cells die.
Pictures
so
are nuts.
necrosis of the jaw, which became known as radium jaw. So the Radium Girls were getting radium jaw. The women also experienced suppression of menstruation and sterility, because why not? But the USRC tried to use the dentist findings as an excuse for their own negligence, saying it was the dental x-rays that caused the problems,
Always someone
not their
else.
toxic
You're
paint.
not flossing enough.
Yeah. So some of these young women who developed radiation poisoning took legal action against the company before they died. An attorney from Newark, New Jersey, took the case, which paved the way for changes in safety standards and regulations to protect workers. And the girls' case was helped by the fact that the inventor of the radium dial paint, Dr. Sabin Arnold von Schahake, died in November 1928, becoming the 16th known victim of poisoning by radium.
The pictures are
Yeah.
wild. If you get a chance to Google them.
Yeah. So yeah, Google Radium Girls. Google the shit out of them. Some of them have big cans. The Radium Girls case was settled before the trial was deliberated by a jury, and the settlement for each of the Radium Girls was a check for $10,000, equivalent to $180,000 today, and a $600 per year annuity, equivalent of about $11,000 today. So for all their lives. So they got a check for $10,000 and $600 per year. I think they used to get like $12 a week or some bullshit. $600 per year for the rest of their lives, and all medical and legal expenses incurred would have also been paid by the company. Not that great, right? No. Considering
Yeah,
that
it's
they died.
not a great payday.
Yeah. So radium jaw. I'm gonna clean my glasses real quick.
Jeans.
I don't have
Jeans fabric is the best. I'll do them
Is it?
if you'd like.
Sorry, John. You're gonna have to just cut this out. I apologize.
Well, radium jaw doesn't sound so bad. At least it's not attacking the scrotum. You know what I mean?
We're gonna get to that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I read ahead.
Yeah. Before we get back to New Jersey, the idea of radium jaw reminds me of similar cases in history where workers were unknowingly poisoned by their bosses, just unknowingly poisoned.
We could do a whole episode on that.
Easily.
Easily.
These cases are in a subset called Occupational Diseases, and it's a worthwhile left turn out of New Jersey. The big ones today are probably carpal tunnel syndrome. That's considered an occupational disease. You see a lot of secretaries and whatnot or people who, kind of keep their arms up. Get carpal
Administrative assistance.
tunnel. Yeah. And also computer vision syndrome, like just because you're constantly staring at computers.
You got these blue light glasses now.
Yeah, but back in the day, these occupational diseases would kill you. And the first such disease to be recognized as an occupational disease was the squamous cell carcinoma of the scrotum.
I think we spoke about this once before.
I don't know if we did.
Only because I remember I have to go through my notes, but I kind of remember the
carcinoma of the scrotum?
No, I remember the boys. We talk about them.
Yeah, I put a picture of it in there.
Yeah, I don't remember this picture. This
No,
picture's
no.
You know what? There's a good chance.
it's watercolor and it's grossing me out.
I did it, and you just didn't get to it. I think I have to go back in my notes. I think it was when we first started, maybe the end of 2019. I think we did them.
So this carcinoma in the scrotum was identified in chimney sweep boys in 1775. It wasn't uncommon for young boys to be hired as chimney sweeps in England in the 17 and 1800s, and typically those hired were orphans or children from poor families, young children between ages 5 and 11, and they were often hired for their ability to fit through the narrow chimney chutes. Also in England, you're only allowed to have so many chimneys, or else you have to pay higher taxes. So people would have multiple fires going off the same chimney. So they had these little diverting things that are very tough to get to unless you sent a 5-year-old boy down there. By the way, the lack in hygiene standards coupled with working naked. A lot of these kids were sent down these pipes naked in order just to save their clothes. They can come out and get fucking hosed down.
That's what stuck out in my head.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy that parents let their kids do that.
I thought about how difficult it was delivering Chinese food in the projects when I was 12 on my bike. I used to get a lot of shit, right? You know what I mean? And it was a tough job. I was 12, and I was delivering Chinese food on a bike in the projects in Brooklyn.
Between your shifts at the florist.
What happens if I was 6 years old and I was being lowered into a fucking chimney naked, picking up fucking carcinoma of the scrotum?
Yeah, my niece is 5 years old, and just imagining her,
Imagine
going into a chimney.
Being lowered?
Could you
Yeah.
imagine?
The chimney?
I don't think she could. I don't know how it's possible.
Trying to get them to follow directions.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. All right. Clean this entire chimney. He's like, I don't want to.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Back and forth.
We used to be a proper country. We used to know how to work.
Yeah.
Now we don't. No one wants to work anymore.
Nobody.
And the scrotum cancer these young boys contracted was associated with occupational exposure to carcinogenic substances in the soot within the chimney. The first sign of the cancer was something called soot wart on the ball sack.
Yeah, that's a visual.
And I gave you an artist rendering of it because it was pre-photographs, I'm assuming. And this young man's cock had a healthy thatch of pubic hair up top. The way that they kind of
Thank you for leaving that in.
the way they kind of move his dick over to the side a little bit, almost not giving it too much definition because you're not supposed to concentrate on the stem or the head.
Right.
And even what would be the left ball that I'm looking at, you can see is a pronounced left ball, but it also very, very subtle. The right ball, however,
Yikes.
has got almost like an angry avocado pit hanging off of it. It's
Very
awful.
great way to describe it. Yeah.
or the rawness against the skin
Oh, God.
is just.
Yeah.
And that was a soot
Thank you
wart
for
on the
sharing
ball
that.
sack. Yeah. There was a similar occupational disease called the mule spinner's cancer. Mule spinners had nothing to do with mules. They were these giant looms that processed raw cotton into yarn, and they were serviced around 1900 by cheap labor that was small in height, a.k.a. young boys. But these mule spinners required different oils used to lubricate the spindles, and the spindles, when running, threw out a mist of that oil, all at crotch height, that was captured by the clothing of anyone working the machines, and that mist contained cancer-causing carcinogens that gave these young boys cancer from being mule spinners. Like, you've seen these giant looms, right, where they're just processing through, and there's all these goddamn cogs. It's like old school machinery. So they always had to be. They had these misters that would every now and again shoot oil onto them. So this carcinogenic oil would just get on their dicks, and all of a sudden, not give them cancer the next day, but obviously mule spinners cancer was a big deal.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Crazy. It's terrible.
Another one that is similar to the radium jaw that we talked about was Fossey jaw, which was short for phosphorus necrosis of the jaw, also called phossy jaw, which was another occupational disease. It affected those who worked with phosphorus for the Matchstick Corporation in the 19th and early 20th centuries. You know, matches are made of phosphorus, right? You strike them. White phosphorus is quite carcinogenic, whereas red phosphorus isn't as much. I don't know the difference of them chemically. Maybe someone can clear it up, but don't bother. I don't give a shit. But either way, these people that made matchsticks were then breathing in this white phosphorus. It was attacking their jaws, and similar to radium jaw, these jaws were being removed at times, and they were glow in the dark. Yeah, they were just losing jaws. That was phossy jaw.
It looks a lot like that guy from. Remember when Gary Oldman was in that movie with? Not the Sons of the
Hannibal.
Lambs one. Hannibal looks like that.
Oh yeah,
Right?
the pigs. And
Yes, yeah, exactly. I could probably come up with his name in that thing. The hell was his name? What the hell did he play in that? If you say it, it's gonna give me.
What was the name of the movie? Hannibal.
I think it was the Hannibal movie.
Yeah, it was Hannibal.
Because he was the guy who Hannibal had him cut his own face with the glass when he was on acid. Shit, it'll come to me. Then there were, what's his name?
Mace.
Oh, Mason Verker.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
There were breaker boys, which you may have heard of. These were the kids who worked at coal mines. The use of breaker boys began in the mid-1860s, and the practice didn't end until the early 1920s. These kids were too young to actually mine. They didn't send them deep into the hole, right? But they were the perfect size to sit alongside these conveyor belts, bringing raw coal from the mines below. And these kids, these breakers, would then hammer them into small pieces and separate the impurities from the coal by hand. These boys were between the ages of 8 and 12 years old, and for 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, 10 hours a day, 6 days a week,
It's crazy.
breaker boys would sit on wooden seats, perched over chutes and conveyor belts, picking slate and other impurities out of coal. Exposure to these impurities led to asthma and black lung disease that was also prevalent to workers down in the caves, but also the boys were forced to work without gloves so they could better handle the slick coal. But the rocks were sharp, particularly, like some of the impurity rocks, like the shale and stuff, was sharp. So these guys would leave with their fingers cut and bleeding just about every day. They sometimes had to have their fingers amputated by the rapidly moving conveyor belts.
It's probably a dime a dozen boys, right? Too.
Yeah,
I mean,
others
there was
lost
no
feet,
shortage of them.
hands, arms, and legs as they moved among the machinery and became caught under conveyor belts and/or gears. Many of them were crushed to death and their bodies retrieved from the gears and the machinery by supervisors only at the end of the working day. Where's Tommy? Oh, he got crushed. Where is he? He's over there, but we can't stop the belts from coming up.
Looked like
So
his
we got to
sneakers.
wait another 7 or 8 hours, and then we'll
God.
dig him up.
Yeah.
Somebody go get his mom. It's fucking terrible, Others were caught in the rush of coal and crushed to death or smothered. Why didn't they just unionize? Why didn't these people just unionize? They tried.
Whoa.
Look up the Latimer Massacre that occurred in Pennsylvania around 1897. 300 unarmed, striking immigrant anthracite miners pulled up at the Latimer Mine near Hazleton, Pennsylvania, and a sheriff's posse of about 150 armed men opened fire on them, killing 19 and injuring 50 more, and almost all of the fatal wounds were miners being shot in the back. So pre-1900, it was tough to demand any kind of workplace safety. Wasn't now, hell no, we won't go, or we need clean food and water. They just wanted to keep their fingers.
One of my favorite documentaries of all time, Harlan County, USA. It's about coal mine
mining, yeah.
unionization, and it's awesome.
Is it?
It's so good. It's crazy what they had to fight for. Where the coal company just owns these people, and they want
Right.
basic necessities, and then they got guys coming with fucking clubs and guns,
Yeah,
Was that Kentucky?
beating them and shooting. Yeah,
yeah, because that's where
Cumberland, Kentucky, I believe.
yeah, Harlan
crazy.
County
Right next to
was
it.
Justified.
Justified.
The show I keep
That's a
telling
great
you to
show.
watch.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
and it's built the show is built around the coal mine culture. You'd love it. Boyd Crowder is very good, and Timothy Oliphant is also excellent in Justified. Not occupational necessarily, but there's also something called downwinders, which you may or may not have heard of. These were individuals in communities primarily in... Have you heard of that?
I've let a couple of downwinders go in my day.
No,
was silent but deadly.
Yeah. So people who lived in Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, and Utah, also in Oregon, Washington, and Idaho, who are exposed to radioactive contamination from nuclear weapons testing that the government runs out in the desert. Everyone watched Oppenheimer, and they're like, ooh...
Yeah.
Cool. But they didn't realize that, a lot of people who were a couple miles away from that little shack, shanty town that they had built and who wound up, they've coming down with a lot of cancer.
There's a documentary on Netflix that just came out called like The Bomb and the War, War and the Bomb, whatever, all about that. And there was an all-girls school close to where Oppenheimer tested the bomb. Mm-hmm. And they went outside when it went off, and there was ash coming from the sky, and they thought it was snowflakes, and they put it on their tongue.
Look.
And all those girls died a couple years later. They were 8 and 12 years old, and they all died.
Right. So not necessarily
horrible, painful deaths.
Yeah, not occupational diseases because these people weren't working with Oppenheimer or anything, but it was from an industry building and testing nuclear bombs.
It's also crazy that the government wasn't like, hey, we're doing this. You might want to evacuate or heads up.
Take a vacation.
Yeah.
I think they thought, in the government's defense, they thought that they were far enough away. They had no idea just how, because it was a new technology.
True.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So that's me sticking up for the government. One in a row. There shouldn't be any new cases. Yeah. There shouldn't be any new cases of downwinders here in the U.S. after the final U.S. nuke test series was Operation Julian in September 1992, and we adopted the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty in 1996. So there shouldn't be any more downwinders, at least for nuclear testing. And I gave you all the old ones, but there's also still a subculture overseas of frequently undocumented workers that do the dirty, difficult, and potentially dangerous work shunned by regular employees. These are called nuclear nomads, and they still exist. They don't exist here in the United States. But if you're overseas, particularly in Asia, you are given a cap on how much you can work in, let's say, a nuclear power plant. And let's say that cap is 10 hours a week. So these guys, since other plants don't necessarily cross-reference, either on purpose or they just don't bother to, you can work 10 hours on Monday, 10 hours on Tuesday somewhere else, and wind up putting together a 50-hour week in heavy radiation, which will eventually kill you, but sometimes it's the only way that you can raise your family. So those people are called nuclear nomads. They're also called biorobots. They're called luminizers. They're called glow boys. This sounds a little weird. They're called atomic gypsies. Ooh. They're called gamma sponges, genpatsu gypsies, and nuclear samurai. They're all great fucking band names.
Yeah, those are.
Nuclear samurai?
Nuclear samurai is really... Glow Boy's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Even Glow Boys is a solid band name. I feel like Glow Boys would be a name of some sort of drag.
Give me thumbs up.
Some A24 movie where they do drag, and it's we're the Glow Boys.
Give me thumbs up. Biorobots.
What is it?
Thumbs up or thumbs down? Biorobots.
I'll go down. I don't like that one.
Bio robots? Yeah, I'm going thumbs up.
You're going thumbs up, thumbs down. Nuclear nomads.
Two thumbs up.
Cool.
Yes,
Yeah, I
yes.
like that one.
Luminizers. I'm going thumbs down.
Too close to the Lumineers.
Yeah. Hey!
Not a folky person.
Oh!
Took a bus to Chinatown.
Hey! The Glow Boys.
I like that one.
You like it? I'm not
But
a fan
not
of Glow
for a
Boys.
band. I think more for a show. If you like the Blue Man Group. If it was Glow Night for them, I think it'd be kind of cool.
Okay.
Like a segment of their show.
Atomic gypsies.
I like that.
Yeah.
Gamma sponges.
I don't like
I
that.
kind of like it.
I don't know about
like
gamma
that
sponges. Genpatsu gypsies is what it is, and nuclear samurai is.
I like that one.
Yeah.
That's the bad one of
That's
them
A
all.
plus.
By the way, these people are doing this now, and they're doing this as a viable work option for them. So it's not the Fukushima 50 that we spoke about, those people who went in after Fukushima, or it's not even the liquidators who went in from
Right.
Chernobyl. Liquidators, like those brave men and women who went
Walked
in
on
there.
the big elephant foot.
Yeah, and they had to go. At Fukushima 50, I think it was more like 200 or 300 people, but those people who went in and helped out afterwards for whatever reasons. By the way, if you go back and you look at the Fukushima 50 stuff, or even the Chernobyl liquidators, those two groups,
Fukushima 50, we talked about.
we did talk
we
about
covered
it, yeah.
them.
Their schedule for the day was just crazy. One last thing before we're back in New Jersey, because this story I'm about to tell you is attached to most searches about occupational diseases. It's the story of Kent cigarettes. This is the type of story that I love too.
Do you remember them?
Yeah, I remember Kent. Kent still exist.
The smooth, rich taste of a Kent cigarette.
Yeah, they were. So they do. They still exist. Tough to find in the States, I believe, but they're big overseas. As a matter of fact, Kent cigarettes were a form of currency in like Romania at some point.
Oh, really?
In prison?
Yeah, no, just in like Romania. It's unbelievable the history of Kent cigarettes. Maybe I should do a whole thing on them. But
And every guy in ads looked like that guy.
that's Bob Cousy.
That's the
Everybody-
Wizard of
every ad
Westwood,
looked like him.
Westchester.
Isn't Cousy
Wizard of Westwood is what's his nuts from UCLA's coach.
Yeah, John Wooden.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Every
John Wooden.
cigarette ad looks like
Cousy's
that
the logo,
guy.
isn't he?
I don't know.
No, that's the guy from the Lakers. What's his name?
Jesus.
So
I should
Kent
know-
is
I
my
can't think
favorite
of-
too. Says Bob Cousy. Yeah.
West? Bob
Boston
West?
Jerry West.
Jerry West. Jerry
Okay,
West.
yeah, I
That's that guy.
apologize.
He looked like every cigarette ad guy.
Yeah. Kent cigarettes.
Cigarette teeth.
They were introduced by Lorillard Tobacco Company in 1952. Around the same time, a series of articles entitled Cancer by the Carton were published by a wildly popular thing called Reader's Digest. You guys will not ever understand how popular Reader's Digest was. You are not going to go into a doctor's, dentist, any kind of waiting room without seeing Highlights magazine,
Right.
Reader's Digest, National Geographic.
Highlights was
Time.
huge.
Highlights for kids.
Yeah.
That little picture hunt.
Oh, Goofus
Oh.
and Gallant. Find the hammer right inside the woodsy scene.
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah,
shit.
there's like a bunny rabbit and everything.
I
Yeah.
loved it.
Oh, those are the best.
Reader's Digest was huge. Maybe it's still huge, around, but everybody had it, particularly inside their bathrooms. There's always like a Reader's Digest
Right.
coming around. But anyway, Reader's Digest, again, one of the biggest populations in the country, they had published a series of articles called Cancer by the Carton, which kind of blew the lid off the fact that what people were smoking was causing cancer. And that scared the shit out of American consumers who wanted to continue smoking, but just didn't want to get cancer. Up pops Kent cigarettes, who say that their filtered cigarettes had something called the famous micronite filter and promised consumers the greatest health protection in history. That's a quote. They promised consumers the greatest health protection in history. More than seatbelts, right? More than fucking life preservers. More than penicillin. This is the greatest health protection in history. Sales of Kent cigarettes skyrocketed. It had been estimated that in Kent's first 4 years on the market, Lorillard sold some 13 billion Kent cigarettes.
You ever smoke, Bibsy? Like cigarettes?
I've smoked a cigarette or two here and there.
It's the best, isn't it?
So I cranked a hoon with the wonton don,
Oh, yeah.
a Chinese hoon.
That's nice.
I was like, yeah, I wonder what these cigarettes taste like. They taste exactly the same as American cigarettes.
They're great.
Yeah.
So Kent says, listen, I know you guys are afraid. We have this special filter. Filters out all the bad stuff. Cigarettes are healthy again. People buy billions of them. But after 4 years, go ahead.
I wish I could have lived in a time where cigarettes were like good for you. Like that would have been the best time to live. Where you're
Ignorance is bliss, right?
You're just ripping them and you think you're getting all the vitamins
the
and
best.
nutrients you need. Yeah.
Yeah, especially with the micronite filter. That's the biggest safety measure
Greatest
ever.
At least birds can
Technology
use them, right? They use them to
development.
line their nests to keep mites away.
So after selling 15 billion of these fucking things, by 1956, it was found that that secret ingredient in these famous micronite filters that, again, promised consumers the greatest health protection in history was something called blue asbestos, which is the most carcinogenic form of asbestos known to man.
Okay.
Asbestos is bad.
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
Blue asbestos is tar heroin versus dirtweed versus fucking whatever. Blue asbestos, you fucking get cancer looking at it.
Yeah.
And people were sucking it down by the billions. Imagine that. So the company had to switch the material in their filters, and sales dwindled as other brands introduced filters, and the other brands introduced filters that didn't contain asbestos. I like that story. I like the fact that Kent Cigarettes had seen there was an opportunity to promise people health in 1952, so they did. It was wildly successful, and in 1956, winds up they would just poison you in a different manner.
Just tell them it's the greatest health protection in history, and we'll make millions.
Yeah. We're moving along, but back to New Jersey. New Jersey is the birthplace of the motion picture industry. Every movie made at one point was made in New Jersey, and that's thanks to the Wizard of Menlo Park, Thomas Edison, and his invention, the movie camera. And New Jersey was a perfect place to accommodate actors who split time between filming motion pictures and performing on Broadway. Did Broadway during the night, you came over and you filmed a couple of movies during the day.
I can't wait to do one on him.
Yeah. As a result, the first movie theater opened up in West Orange, and the first movie studio opened up in scenic Fort Lee, New Jersey. That's where George Washington Bridge.
That's where that bus was going to take me. Fort
That's
Lee.
right.
Yeah, Fort Lee.
That's right.
But
Last stop, Fort Lee.
Yeah. Thomas Edison is also the reason the motion picture industry moved to Hollywood, because apparently Thomas Edison was a scumbag.
Big time.
Yeah, it seems like
we're
that.
definitely
Heard
doing
that,
the
yeah.
twisted history of him
Yeah.
because he shouldn't get as many credits as he should, as he gets.
My grandparents lived in Fort Myers, Florida, and every time we'd go down there for spring break, they'd take us to Thomas Edison's summer home.
Oh, really?
So I've been to Thomas Edison's summer home like 8 times.
Really?
Yeah.
I was born in Edison, so it's like literally like a stone's throw from the house I grew up in, and everyone's like the stuff they talk about with him, like the way he stole stuff and killed people to get the movie projector and stuff like that. It's scandalous.
Is there like a tour of his like home and his like
Yeah.
factory
Oh, yeah.
there?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're
Yeah,
really
I mean,
pimping out his
Second
summer
graders
home.
go on that. That's what we
Yeah.
did. That's the the first big field trip for the kids.
They say he cut Tesla out by the knees, owned a lot of patents that weren't his own because
threw
he
the
had so
guy
many
off the
people
train.
working
there's-
for him.
To
There's a whole
get the
bunch
movie
of stuff.
projector.
There's the AC DC electric chair story. I don't know if we talked about that on Twisted
I
History.
don't know. Have we?
Where like Thomas Edison tried to make it seem like AC power was like so dangerous and
yeah.
deadly, and
Right.
Really?
We're
To, like-
definitely doing him.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. That must have been like you talking to your girlfriends at the first time you met me. We're definitely doing them. So anyway, so Thomas Edison is the reason that the original Hollywood was actually Fort Lee, New Jersey. The reason it's now Hollywood is also because of Thomas Edison, because he was a scumbag and he demanded a cut of profits from anyone using his cameras to make films, and he employed what they called mafia-like ways of collecting those fees. So he was an ankle breaker.
A real scumbag.
Yeah.
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 So people wanted to get as far away as
yeah,
possible
get them.
from him. So as far away from Fort Lee, if you were to throw a straight line across the country and say, I want to get as far away from Fort Lee as possible, that line would end in Hollywood, where you had the added bonus of good weather year-round. So that's why Hollywood moved away, and that's why the original Hollywood was in no other place than Fort Lee, New Jersey.
Now they're all filming in Georgia. It's like
Georgia.
They
Georgia's
are.
giving tax breaks.
Yes.
So everyone's
Yes.
getting out of Hollywood and going to Georgia.
Canada's big too.
Canada?
Yeah.
Georgia's big where they film like Walking Dead and stuff.
Yeah. All 50 seasons of The Walking Dead have been filmed
Yeah,
there.
it's had turned into absolute dog shit. The Hindenburg, it's one of the most iconic images and audio clips in history. I actually listened to the full audio clip, the one where you only hear, oh, the humanity, but the whole audio clip is wild. The guy doesn't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I don't know where I'm safe. Oh, the humanity. We should get, are you getting this on tape? Like, dude from like Die Hard, did you get that? It's a really like honest reporting type thing, where you also get that line, oh, the humanity, while this gigantic dirigible is blowing up in midair. I didn't know it blew up in New Jersey.
Yeah.
That's how stupid I am. Blew up in Lakehurst, New Jersey. I don't know. I kind of thought that it blew up the Hindenburg.
Over in New York City? What'd you think?
I don't know.
You thought it was
Europe?
Germany.
I was going to say, you thought Europe, didn't you?
I will tell you, the Hindenburg, before it blew up in Lakehurst, New Jersey, had made 10 trips from Europe to the United States.
Right.
It's also made trips from the United States down to South America and back. So this thing
didn't
had
know
been
that.
well traveled. So in my defense, it could have been anywhere.
And you
right?
go down
This
to Point Pleasant a lot, which is like
Yeah.
only a stone's throw from there.
Yeah. So, but it was Lakehurst, New Jersey. The accident caused 35 fatalities among the 97 people on board, and additionally just killed one person on the ground.
Imagine being a survivor of that, seeing that up close like that.
I read the blow-by-blow account of it. Like, it was very windy that day, so they had to go into like a holding pattern, and then what they do is they drop these tethers, but one was coming down. But there's all these different eyewitness accounts of glowing from here and rips in here.
Yeah.
Like they still don't know, I don't think, what the absolute cause of it was.
People lived that were on that? That's
Yes.
crazy. Yeah, I thought
Most
they all
of the
died.
people lived. Yeah, again, so 62 of the 97 lived.
Yeah,
Yeah.
35 died.
I thought immediately
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah, you would think, right? The deadliest month in U.S. history for shark attacks happened in New Jersey in July of 1916.
Kinda
The
stupid,
Dublin
isn't it?
boys.
In just 12
Sorry,
days,
But that's dumb.
5 people attacked and 4 died.
Everybody knows somebody died of a shark when you're down the shore. Why would you go in the water?
But I think
just-
this was
2 of
this
them
was-
died in an inlet.
Yeah, this was inland. It was a bull shark. The
I still
Dublin boys.
wouldn't go.
Yeah.
I'm not making it up.
Yeah.
still wouldn't go.
2 of them died in an inlet.
Everybody knows when one happens.
Yeah.
You just don't go in.
I don't know about July 1916 though. Like we don't get the updates on our phones in 1916.
I don't know.
Right
I used to
on
go
our
down
way
the
out
shore
to the
when
outhouse.
Jaws came out. Like,
Yeah, but
everybody
Jaws
can know.
didn't come out for another 50 years. But Jaws was loosely
I'm
based
just saying we didn't
on
have
those four guys.
We didn't have,
Yeah.
social media back then either. And as soon as there was a shark or if somebody drowned,
yell at me.
everybody knew.
New Jersey makes all. This is one that I was going to save for out and about. New Jersey makes all the glitter. Almost all the glitter in the United States, and arguably maybe all the glitter in the world, gets made from two factories within New Jersey. We make all the glitter, and you may think that that's just something very trite to say, but nobody knows what all the glitter is for. We're making metric tons of this shit, and people are so concerned about microplastic poisoning that they want to get, because glitter is made from like chopping up aluminum and certain papers and stuff into very fine whatever glitter. And so people are always curious about it. And
Because you can inhale it.
Yeah, and as a kid, or you have a birthday party where a kid has fucking glittery wrapping paper, it's all over your house forever.
Yeah.
Right? Or, if you do one of those glitter cannons, poof, like the shit that comes out of it just stays in your lawn forever. There is no half-life with this shit.
It's like our tinsel that we put in the tree.
They're very secretive. These two New Jersey glitter plants are extremely secretive on where their glitter goes. Somebody thought they broke the code by coming up with the idea, and I believe it's true, that glitter supplies to boat paint manufacturers, because boat paint wants to have almost like a bioluminescence to it, where it hits like any kind of light and it starts to glow and stuff. So that was one of their main, but that was accounted for. Like, that's on the books. People still don't know where these tons and tons of glitter. Could be NASA. Some people think that maybe there's a tiny bit of glitter in United States currency.
Right,
So they could be selling it to the mint. So it would be tough to, like, there's
Nail
all these
polishes.
ideas.
Yeah.
Glitter, it's called Glittergate. They don't know where all the glitter goes, but they do know that it's made in New Jersey.
Joey Camasta would have a good definition for Glittergate.
Yes. Yeah. You can't pump gas in New Jersey, but you can count cards. In 1979, the Supreme Court decided that it was illegal for Atlantic City Casino to ban card counters. This ruling made New Jersey the only state in America where casinos can't expel proficient blackjack players who count cards, despite it being common practice elsewhere. So if you're a card counter, come on down to AC. Come on down to AC and do your thing. So let's talk New Jersey murder, right? We usually kind of pivot towards murders at some point, particularly when we're doing states. Let's talk about New Jersey murder. And there are quite a few serial killers from the Garden State, at least 22 of them, according to Wikipedia. But I'll tell you about just one in this next segment, which is brought to you by SimpliSafe. If you're like me, you're constantly thinking about the safety of the people and things you value most, like St. Anne. After hearing about this next New Jersey native that I'm about to talk to you about, I knew I needed more security in my home with all the stuff that I love the most, and there's no safe like SimpliSafe. Sleep better every night knowing SimpliSafe's 24/7 monitoring are standing by to protect you, and if someone breaks in, they send emergency help when you need it most. That's why we've partnered with SimpliSafe to offer listeners 20% off a system. Just visit simplysafe.com/twisted. SimpliSafe keeps getting better with exclusive live guard protection. SimpliSafe agents can act within 5 seconds of receiving your alarm and can even see and speak to intruders inside your home, warning them that police are on the way. It's no surprise that SimpliSafe has been named the best home security system by U.S. News and World Report for 5 years running. That's a big deal. They just crush it every year, 5 years running. And the best customer service in home security by Newsweek. So protect your home this summer with 20% off any new SimpliSafe system when you sign up for Fast Protect Monitoring. That's what you need to remember. You're signing up for Fast Protect Monitoring, and you're getting 20% off any new SimpliSafe system. Just visit simplysafe.com/twisted. SIMPLI safe.com/twisted. And there is no safe like SimpliSafe. All right, there are a lot of murderous scumbags that come from New Jersey. If you look up serial killers from New Jersey, they give you a list of people who at one time were in New Jersey. So Ted Kaczynski's in there. I don't know who Ted Kaczynski killed. He's got a huge page. I didn't want to go through it because we kind of know
Unabomber?
the Unabomber.
He killed 2 people, I think.
No, but what does he have to do with New Jersey? Why is he on the list of New Jersey
He
serial
went
killers?
to Harvard.
Went to
which
Harvard
is
and
not
Michigan.
in New Jersey.
Correct.
I was gonna say
I thought he
Princeton.
graduated.
Like he went to Harvard, he went to
Yeah.
Michigan, and
Yeah.
then he was out, I thought, like in a cabin in Montana or something.
He was in Montana, like right on the Idaho-Montana border.
Yeah, so I don't know when he did his deeds, but I'm not going to talk about him. I'm going to talk
I
about
will let you know.
guys that just were New Jersey.
Yeah.
As you know, because I think if we're going to talk about it, and I chose one. It could have been everyone, but I chose Frank Massini.
Is that the Iceman?
No, that's Ted Kuklinski.
Oh, yeah.
From,
yeah,
I
it was
think,
the Iceman. He was
Demarest,
from
maybe?
Demarest,
Or
yeah.
Dumont?
Unabomber killed a man from New Jersey.
Oh, he
One of
did?
the men
Okay.
he killed was from New Jersey.
Okay.
We
So,
have a
like, I
murder
don't
in the
consider him
family,
then
don't
like
we,
a New
from
Jersey serial killer because one of the people he killed is from New Jersey. There are a lot of people that were on this list that also killed people in Ohio or Pennsylvania, and I didn't include
Florida.
them because I just want Jersey Strong in here for it. So I picked this guy Massini. One, because he does stuff that scares me. He murders and he rapes, and he also well, I'll show you.
You could have done Mike Copeland too.
Yeah, Massini is still alive. He's 80 years old, and he's hopefully rotting away in excruciating pain in New Jersey State Prison in Trenton. That's the oldest prison in New Jersey. It opened up in 1836. I don't know.
I assume this place isn't the nicest.
I hope not. It's one of the oldest correctional facilities in the United States. It used to house the state's death row and the execution chamber until the state abolished capital punishment in 2007. But at one time, it housed a guy named Jesse Timendekwas. He's the guy who kidnapped, raped, and murdered Megan Kenka. And that case subsequently led to the introduction of Megan's Law, right?
know that.
Which
I've heard of
requires
that.
law enforcement to disclose details relating to the
He's
location of registered sex offenders.
It's
weird that you say you know that.
Yeah, what?
I know that.
I've heard it.
I get requests all the time. But Megan, this poor little angel, Megan Kenka, I forgot her last name, but she was, I believe, 7. And so he had...
Megan Kenka.
on
Megan
that.
Kenka. Kidnapped, raped, and murdered her. So that's Megan's Law. So then this teaspoon of cum was then on death row in New Jersey. And he remained there until 2007 when the New Jersey legislature abolished capital punishment. As a result, this fucking waste of life was had his sentence commuted to life in prison without the possibility of parole. But back in the good old days, after 1837 and pre-2007, when New Jersey used to kill worthless criminals like Timendekwas and the guy I'm about to tell you about, Frank Massini, the state used to hang them until 1906. So the first 70 years they were killing people. They did it by hanging. And then they replaced hanging with the electric chair, with all executions taking place in the Trenton State Prison's execution chamber, where Massini is. By the way, the first electric chair was invented in New Jersey. Shout out, Jers. And in 1983, New Jersey transitioned from the chair to lethal injection. And using all 3 of those methods, New Jersey executed a total of 361 people from the state's inception until the abolition of the death penalty in 2007. So New Jersey as a state's only killed 361 people.
Timendekwas should have been killed because she wasn't the first that he did this to. Like he should have been.
Yeah,
You know,
even if she was.
he was
he
let
should
go.
Be,
Like,
he
it's
should be
bad.
should be thrown into a volcano. The first person
That's too
executed in New Jersey was a slave known only as Tom, and he was executed for rape in 1690. And the last execution was of Ralph Hudson for murder in 1963. The last execution for a crime other than murder was the hanging of Andrew Clark in 1872 for rape. And the last woman executed in New Jersey was Margaret Meyerhofer of West Orange, who was executed by hanging for the murder of her husband. But back to this more recent bad guy from New Jersey. I'm just going to give you one bad guy from New Jersey. His name is Frank Massini. He was born in Italy, but moved to Livingston, New Jersey at the age of 17. And in 1991, this guy Massini was prowling. In 1991, he was 46 years old, and he visited his 85-year-old aunt, Anna Massini, at her home. He's 46. She's 85. He wound up stabbing her in the neck with a steak knife repeatedly until her death, and after she was dead, he sexually assaulted the body. So he killed and he raped his 85-year-old aunt and he raped her posthumously. So to me, that hits for the cycle. Murder, rape, and necrophilia, and also of an old person. Like, all that stuff is creepy to me. It's very creepy.
After watching several episodes of Oprah,
Yes.
I used to think that rape meant you had sex with them and killed them. Because
really?
I watched a couple episodes of Oprah
Right.
where that happened, and I was
could
like,
see
oh,
that.
it has to be that. But it's apparently not.
I could see that.
So-
Actually,
I
I
can see
think that
why
would be an interesting thing, not to bite off of part of my take, but those guys, they do their Rushmores. They were the first to do the Rushmore. Now everyone does them, right? But they did something. I'd seen it pop up on my social media. Stuff we believed as kids. Mm-hmm. That was their draft.
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
good
So like
one.
number one was, Santa, obviously, or something like that,
Right, right.
but also,
Gum will get stuck to your ribs if you swallow it.
yeah, swallow
Absolutely.
a
Oh,
watermelon
yeah.
pit and a watermelon's going to grow. Like
Ooh,
there
let's
was,
do that next time.
yeah, maybe
That's a good
so.
one.
Yeah, I think that is a good one. I enjoyed watching it. I forget who had like a couple of good ones. Who's the big guy with long hair? It's kind of new.
PFT?
No, the long hair, big dude. What the fuck's his name?
I don't know.
Works
Oh,
with
Max.
Max.
I couldn't
exactly.
tell.
He's got long hair.
I was
big
trying to make a
dude,
joke. Yeah,
Philly
I
guy.
didn't
big
know if you were
Philly
talking
fan.
about. Yeah.
Yeah, Max was great because when maybe the Phillies were in the World Series or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were in the World Series.
They went nuts up.
Yeah,
He
they
went
lost to the
nuts up.
Diamondbacks
Yeah, he was awesome.
after beating the Braves.
He's very,
which
very
sucks.
good. I don't know Max too well, but whenever I see him, he's a gem of a guy. So anyway, 1991, 85-year-old aunt stabs her with a steak knife in the neck, then he fucks her dead body. Sorry. A month later, still 1991, he's going through East Orange, New Jersey. He enters the home of 79-year-old Angelina Allegio, another relative, only this time via marriage. While at the home, Massini grabbed a knife, and like the first victim, he began to attack Angelina, and then he sexually assaulted her while stabbing her. After the killing, Massini rifled through her purse, pocketed some money, and left the home. So again, rape, murder. This time he sprinkled in a little bit of robbery. Then, less than a year later, but almost exactly a year after killing his aunt, Massini went to the home of 81-year-old Michael Krieger and his 78-year-old wife, Betty, a retired couple in West Orange, New Jersey. And he attacked Michael with a letter opener and then stabbed Betty in the back. This time the police found a bloody footprint that he left behind at the home. They matched it to a pair of specialized hiking boots that Massini owned. He was arrested and eventually sentenced to life imprisonment for the murders with the possibility of parole after serving 60 years. He will not become eligible for parole until December 2052 when he is 108 years old. So that's one of the guys that I want you to know who's also from New Jersey. His name is Frank Massini, and he had a penchant for killing and then posthumously raping old women that he was related to. How about
people,
that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's bad enough. The lemon porn stuff is bad enough, and I'm an older guy. Nobody wants to do that. But, the lemon porn when it's also your old aunt is tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
That's
also
it.
just sad. Just old people. They're defenseless. They're like
Yeah.
babies, just grown babies. They're on their own. They can't help themselves.
Something turned
In
this
Massini's
guy.
defense, I don't know what the ants were wearing.
Oh,
That's
God.
No, I'm
yes,
just kidding.
that's
I'm
true.
totally kidding.
Or what they did to him when he was younger. Why did he choose them? He didn't seem to be a danger to society outside of these women.
Well, I don't
I'm
know.
not saying
It's-
I'm not condoning this guy's actions at all. I'm just saying
I did a
sounds like
deeper
there's a
dive on this
history
guy, Annie, because I had so many people to choose from, and there wasn't any kind of issues from him. Like there's another guy who he was killed 6 out of his 8 kids and his wife, and he got off on some sort of, criminally insane type thing. So I went through Massini. There wasn't any other things. He was just a crazy, he was sick. He was a sick individual, but I don't think it
No
was
doubt.
brought on by Aunt Angelina diddling him in the bath back in Rome. And again, he didn't come to the United States till he was 17. You know what I mean?
true.
Let's talk positively about New Jersey for a sec.
There's so much positivity.
The 15th Amendment was passed by Congress in 1869, the 15th Amendment, and it states the rights of citizens, quote, the rights of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. Right? Basically gave blacks the right to vote. The 19th Amendment wasn't passed until 1919 and gave women the right to vote. Quote, the right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state on account of sex. So, 15th Amendment, 19th Amendment, blacks and women can vote. Everything is kind of cool. And yet, women and African Americans could vote in New Jersey before both the 15th and 19th Amendment, because let's do women first. 19th Amendment, 1919. New Jersey's first constitution in 1776 gave voting rights to all inhabitants of this colony of full age who are worth 50 pounds and have resided within the county for 12 months. That's a quote. And in 1790, the legislature reworded that law to say he or she. This was in 1790, clarifying that both men and women still had voting rights. Unfortunately, only single women could vote back then because married women couldn't own property. Once you married, property went into your husband's name.
Right.
But still, many unmarried women voted in the state of New Jersey in the 1790s and the very early 1800s, even though the 19th Amendment would not be passed until 100 years or more afterwards. That's extraordinary, right?
So progressive.
Then for people of color, POCs, before the 15th Amendment passed in 1869, African Americans in the state could vote if they met those same residency and property requirements put forth in 1776 as well. So no matter what people say about it, New Jersey was ahead of the curve with civil rights. Take that with you. I'm going to give you 3 random New Jersey facts. There's a place called Montclair, New Jersey. It's a lovely little town. It's on the Direct Line, Midtown Direct. If you switch your radio to 91.9 FM as you drive down a particular city block, it's a very small band. You'll hear I'll Make Love to You by Boyz II Men.
I think that is so funny.
On a continuous loop. Some guy had bought a small radio band,
Yeah.
and all he does is play I'll Make Love to You like you want me to. It's just going 24 hours a day. It's been going for over a decade.
Baby, all through the night I'll make love to you.
Yeah. A lesser-known band called the Bloodhound Gang. You and me, baby, ain't nothing but mammals. That band
Let's do it.
brought us the classic, A Lap Dance is So Much Better When the Stripper is Crying. They also once recorded a track titled The 10 Coolest Things About New Jersey. And that track consists of 10 seconds of complete silence.
Wow.
Oh, fuck you, Bloodhound Gang. And last one, the reality TV show Jersey Shore aired in Japan under the name MTV Jersey Shore, the New Jersey life of macaroni rascals. I fucking love that. I do. I love that so fucking much. And the last thing I'm going to mention before we close on something that's going to be very, very interesting. I didn't know growing up in Brooklyn that the night before Halloween had a name.
Oh, yeah.
What's the name of the night before a Halloween in Indiana?
All Hallows Eve.
What's the name?
I have no idea.
What's the name in New Jersey?
We have a bunch. We have Mischief Night, Goosey Night, Cabbage Night. It all depends on which
Devil's
town you're
Night,
from.
Mischief
Devil's
Night, Goosey Night,
Devil's Night,
and
we never really
Cabbage
used, but
Night.
Cabbage Night.
Devil's Night, cool. Mischief Night, cool. Goosey Night, no.
Goosey Night might be the most popular.
Goosey Night is because you throw eggs. I think it's
that-
because you throw. I mean, it was always like you knew which guys threw eggs because they called it. It's Goosey Night if they're throwing eggs. If it was just regular, just
What's the other one?
toilet paper.
Cabbage?
It was just
Cabbage
Cabbage Night.
I don't like cabbage.
I think people used to throw maybe rotten cabbage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you would throw vegetables and like you just
I've never heard of it
you know.
outside of New Jersey.
Mischief
Yeah.
Night. It was always like mainly, but if it was Goosey Night, you knew they were going with eggs.
And kids still doing this? They still going out
Hell
and
yeah.
getting
Guess so, yeah.
into mischief?
I
getting in
gave my
trouble?
kids. I shouldn't say it, but I did. I gave them a bunch of toilet paper and stuff.
Oh, let's go.
And then they got caught. Remember when they got caught?
Yeah, they did. I almost got caught. We'll close with this: Taylor ham or pork roll? Do you care?
Taylor ham.
It's pork roll.
It's pork roll,
It's Taylor
right?
ham.
It's Taylor ham. It's
I
pork
have no
roll.
Taylor
dog in
ham,
the
egg
fight.
and
I
cheese.
couldn't care less.
Well done hash browns on a toasted, whatever, salt, pepper, ketchup.
All right, so Taylor ham and pork roll. People don't know what you're talking about. So Taylor ham.
Cons is pork roll.
Cons is pork roll? No,
Jersey,
Cons is
isn't
a
he?
Taylor ham guy.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm almost
But he's
positive.
Central Jersey.
It's huge.
Well, I got to ask him now.
It's huge. I purposely try to have stuff with Taylor ham and shit on it when
I
I'm
gotta
doing
ask
this food
Cons.
content, just so I can say Taylor ham because it causes engagement. People are like, Large,
Right.
way off. It's pork roll. I don't care. It's not a hill I'm willing to die on. I just like to disturb. I call it a Sunday sauce. I don't call it a Sunday gravy. A lot of people take
It's
umbrage
like
with
Gotti
that.
told you. What was Gotti's description as to why he chooses to use
He
different?
says there's meat in it. He calls it a gravy. If it's marinara, he calls it a sauce. That was from
Right.
John Gotti Jr., who doesn't control anything. I'm still going to call it whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah,
Fuck
yeah.
those
saying
He
you're
doesn't
all
dictate your
Irish,
life.
he's all
Yeah.
Italian. I'm just
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. But I call it Taylor ham. Some people call it pork roll. You can look up the history of Taylor ham, John Taylor's, pork roll and whatnot. But it's just something that we call. And it's sort of, if you call it Taylor ham, you're known to either be from the city or from northern New Jersey. And if you call it pork roll, you're known to be from southern New Jersey.
Central.
Sometimes central New Jersey, although some people don't think central New Jersey
Down the
exists.
shore is central.
It makes no fucking sense. There is a western and an eastern New Jersey. There's a northern and a southern New Jersey, and there's also a central New Jersey. And
The
people
Jersey
just
Shore.
doesn't seem to. I don't know. It's like North Jersey, South Jersey. So anyway, so Taylor ham versus pork roll is something that can give you a clue into exactly where somebody's from.
You're very sensitive about
The
that.
reason I'm bringing this up is because that's called a shibboleth. A shibboleth. It's a Hebrew word, and it means a choice of phrasing or even a single word that distinguishes one group of people from another. Shibboleths has been used by different subcultures throughout the world at different times and sometimes with deadly consequences. The easiest one that I can remind you guys of as a shibboleth is the scene in Inglourious Bastards where he orders 3. Ein, zwei, drei. I think drei is 3. 3 whiskeys. And he does it, whereas I guess German people do this for 3 or maybe do that.
Yeah.
So that gave away that he wasn't really a Nazi. And then that caused all this shit.
Right.
That's a shibboleth. You calling it pork roll is a shibboleth. Now I know that you're from central or southern New Jersey.
And I
Like
was
that type
totally
of
wrong.
thing.
Cons is Taylor ham.
He's, big time Taylor ham guy.
Soda, pop, Coke.
Yeah.
That's a shibboleth.
Absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
going to give you a bunch of them. But I will tell you, like now, calling it Taylor ham, your only consequence is that some guy called South Jersey 69 will tell me I'm a fat fuck and it's really pork roll.
Yeah.
That's my only consequence from that.
Yeah.
Or maybe Nick Mangold will yell at me. I think Nick Mangold might be a pork roll guy, right?
I
But
don't
this
know. Let's
was
ask
like,
him.
there are shibboleths out there with real deal consequences, and I'm going to tell you about a couple of them right now. We're coming towards the end of the podcast, so pay attention. Before the Battle of the Golden Spurs in 1302, the Flemish slaughtered every Frenchman they could find in the city of Bruges, an act known as the Matin of Bruges. They identified Frenchmen based on their inability to pronounce the Flemish phrase "shield und vriend," shield and friend. So they would go up and say to somebody, read this. And if they didn't say it with the proper Flemish dialect, they killed them. It wasn't New Jersey Shore Lover 69, right?
Right.
Tell me to fuck. During the rebellion of the Sicilian Vespers in 1282, the inhabitants of the island killed the French occupiers who, when questioned, could not correctly pronounce the Sicilian word chichiri, which means like chichi beans, which means chickpeas. You were killed if you couldn't pronounce chickpeas
Killed over
correctly,
chickpeas.
right? Following Mayor Albert's rebellion in 1312 in Krakow, Poles used the Polish language, Saksawa Kolo Mil, lentil wheel grinds mill. Lentil wheel grinds mill to distinguish the German-speaking burghers. Those who could not properly pronounce this phrase were executed. Butter, rye bread, and green cheese. Whoever cannot say these is not a genuine Frisian. That was a phrase used during the Frisian Rebellion of 1515. Ships whose crew could not pronounce that sentence properly were usually plundered, and soldiers who could not were beheaded. These are all shibboleths with real fucking consequences. In October 1937, the Spanish word for parsley was used as a shibboleth to identify Haitian immigrants living along the border in the Dominican Republic. The Dominican dictator Rafael Trujillo ordered the execution of these people. It's alleged that between 20 and 30,000 individuals were murdered within a few days in what is now known as the Parsley Massacre. And you were killed by the way you fucking pronounced parsley. Some American soldiers in the Pacific Theater in World War II used the word Lollapalooza. I love the fact that they did this,
What?
by the way. Certain things make me happy. We're talking about it right now. So they used the word Lollapalooza as a shibboleth to challenge unidentified persons on the premise that Japanese people would often pronounce both letters L and R as just rolled R's. So if somebody was in the fucking line and you couldn't see them and you say, who goes there? And they came back, oh, it's me. I'm your American friend. And they were like, say Lollapalooza. As soon as they got out rah-rah, they were already shot.
Oh
That's
my
what the
God.
quote said, too. We waited till they said rah-rah before we shot him. Some poor bastard was like, rah-rah Perusa. And that's not
Oh my
me.
God.
Please
it's
don't come
history.
after
That's
No,
me.
the
brother,
twist
I was
of
gonna
Yeah,
make
yeah.
the joke, but luckily it was already in the
Yeah,
script.
thank you.
You know how
Yeah,
I know
so
you're not a Metallica fan?
what?
You called that guy Raphael, what?
Trujillo?
It's Trujo.
True. So there's no ILLO?
You just say Trujo. It's like
Oh,
Robbie
okay.
Trujo from Metallica. I'm just
Oh, okay.
She's a true hoe.
Yeah,
Did you just-
Rafi Trujillo, a Trujo, he killed 30,000 people because they didn't know how to pronounce parsley correctly, just to like weed out Haitians. And we used to weed out
crazy.
Japanese in The Wire by making them say Lollapalooza.
Not to give too much shine on your interview with Gotti for Barstool Boxing, but I'm just, didn't you? This is kind of like what you did with him about how you pronounce things, right?
Sure. Yeah, I think that I sometimes get a lot of shit for the way I say mozzarella, or the way I say, prosciutto, the way I say capicola. I sometimes don't go full bore gabagool, but I get close to it, and it's just because that's the way it was pronounced when I grew up.
It was a fun
So
segment.
maybe I'll get out of it, and it sound. So I did that with John Gotti Jr.
was
and
fun.
and his son John Gotti III. How do you pronounce calamari? And he's like galamad. I'm like, there is no G and there is no D. He's like, I know, but that's the way I pronounce it. I'm like, me too. So those are kind of shibboleths. So I'll give you guys a couple right now. There's a nut, and it's spelled Pecan. How do you pronounce it, Annie?
Pecan.
You pronounce it pecan. How do you pronounce that nut?
Pecan.
Pecan. So pecan
Butter
is
pecan.
usually
I
heard
guess
in
with the ice cream, I would say butter pecan, but I call it
With
a
a
pecan.
pie, you call it a pecan pie?
Yeah.
So
I get
pecan
that. The mood.
is. So you said pecan or pecan?
I said pecan.
Pecan.
I said pecan.
You
He
said
said
pecan.
pecan.
He said
Pecan.
pecan. So the way he pronounced it is usually heard in Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, and a few other states. The one that's most widely used throughout the U.S. is pecan, not pecan, like you said. So
Pecan.
pecan is how you would say
Yeah. I
it.
said pecan
Then
'cause I'm from
pecan
Jersey.
is heard in the Northeast
Oh,
and
good.
some coastal states.
I belong.
And then pecan is limited to Michigan and Wisconsin. Okay?
I'm true to form.
How do you say those tiny little lobsters that they eat down
Crawfish?
in New Orleans? You say crawfish? How do you say it?
There's another way.
What do you
of
call
saying
them?
it.
Crawdads.
Crawdads. So
Crawdad.
crawdads is the Midwest and the Pacific Northwest. Crawfish is the southern states. And crayfish, how I pronounce it, or I used to, is the northern states. Calling them crayfish is a very northern thing to do. And that's
So where
I've
did I
been-
get crawfish from?
That's how the Southerners say it. So you said that because you hang out with Mincy far too much. So you
Love
say it
Mincy.
correctly.
Hugs for the cause.
Yeah.
The best.
Yeah. How do you pronounce if you're ordering a cola at a restaurant? How do you order it?
Can I have a Coke?
Yeah.
May
How
I
do you
please
order
have a
it
Coke? Sorry.
before you came to New York and got? How do you say that?
I don't know. Soda.
Or
Okay.
please.
So a soda is East and West Coasts and a few other spots in between. Pop, you hear most often in the northern region
But who
of
would
the
order
United
that?
States.
Then, 'cause there's
Some
so many
people order a
flavors.
pop, and
How do they know
they'll
which
come
one
out
you
with a
wanted?
cola.
Like,
What?
would you have to say 7-Up if you wanted a 7-Up? It's
Yeah.
just soda, a Coke?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then Coke is definitely mostly a southern thing. That's what they say
Gotcha.
on this thing.
Why am I so southern?
I don't know.
Mincy again.
What do you put on your pancakes?
Syrup.
What do you put on your pancakes?
Syrup.
So syrup is most of the
Syrup.
country. Most of the country is syrup. And
Really?
only the northeastern corridor where we live is syrup.
Really?
Yeah, most people are syrup.
Well, this is fun.
Yeah.
Keep going.
What about the candy that is sometimes inside of a Snickers bar? It's covered chocolate and nougat and peanuts, also with
Caramel?
caramel. How do you pronounce that?
Caramel.
Caramel.
Yeah.
Caramel.
Yeah. So he pronounced it caramel. 43
Let's go
pronounced
get
it with
some
only two
caramel.
syllables.
Put it on my boots.
Mostly in the western and northern parts of the country, pronounce it with two syllables. Either caramel or caramel. Two syllables. It's mostly in the western and northern parts of the country, whereas caramel or any kind of three syllable pronunciation is generally found in southern states. Caramel versus caramel.
I got a
You're
history.
a Southern Belle.
Yeah.
I'm not giving it up.
I'm just going to do a couple more. Is that okay with
Yeah,
you guys?
love
Yeah.
Yeah. If you are clipping something that's going to give you a 15% off the next can of soup you buy, what's that called?
A coupon.
Okay.
Coupon.
Yes.
You do not say
Yeah.
coupon.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
coupon is heard in
Thank you.
California, Nevada, Colorado, Louisiana, Mississippi, Virginia, Hawaii, and much of the Northeast, other than Maine and New York. But coupon is the rest of the United States.
You don't spell it different. Just like
I spell it the same way. Yeah, I don't spell it like a Q, but it's
Yeah, it's like
coupon.
porcupine. No, it's coupon is most of the United States, and then coupon, the way you say it, is like just select type of states. I didn't know this either.
is it like Louisiana?
Yeah. Louisiana is one of them. But not mustard, but
Ketchup.
no, I'm sorry, it's white. Hellman's makes the greatest.
Mayonnaise.
Kewpie makes the greatest. Yeah. So how do you pronounce that?
Mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise.
Yeah. So mayonnaise, right? It's most of the
Mayonnaise.
United States,
Mayonnaise.
but some people call it two. So it's mayonnaise or mayonnaise. Like some people do it just
I don't
two.
know. I think that's what I said. Now I'm overthinking it.
Pass me the mayonnaise or pass me the mayonnaise.
I mean,
Do you go 2 syllables or 3?
mayonnaise. I think I go 3.
I feel like
I go 3.
I think the less syllables you do, the trashier you are. The more mayonnaise.
What do you
know
put
what I
on
mean?
before? What do you put on before you go to bed? What do you wear to bed?
Pajamas.
Okay.
You
What do
say
call 'em?
pajamas?
Pajama. Yeah.
Do
Pajamas.
you say pajamas? Yeah. So that's from
Pajamas.
northern and western states is pajamas, and pajamas are if you're in the south or along the east coast. So,
Pajamas.
Yeah, yeah.
So proper.
And like there are ones where there's different words. Like what do you call a very big sandwich?
A hero.
Yeah. Never called a hero.
Yeah,
Sandwich.
Oh, Nick
Maybe
Manuel,
sub.
Sailor Ham, of course.
Sub, grinders, wedges, all these different things that people call it, and that's obviously shibboleths for different. Like if you call it a wedge, I think wedges are only like in very small parts of the country, maybe even Ohio. I forget where they serve wedges. But
I don't
yeah,
know.
grinders is another
Grinders
one.
I've
That
heard.
whole
Wedge
thing.
salad's the only wedge
Hoagies.
I'm eating.
Yeah.
Right? They're so good. You know
Uh,
what's a pet peeve of mine now? People don't take the time to speak properly. They say, instead of saying the word to, they'll say tuh.
Really?
I don't know. I can't talk.
Or hour, they'll say R instead of hour.
Hour.
Like it's spelled O-U-R
know.
versus A-R-E. They mean separate things.
Really?
Or they'll say, I intend to, but they'll say, I intend to.
What's the state
bet.
where Las
No.
Vegas is located?
What?
The state where Las Vegas is located.
Nevada? I know I say that wrong because
Ne-
we did the twisted history of it and I got dragged.
Nevada.
Do you call it Nevada versus Nevada?
What is it? Nevada. What is it? Nevada?
It's Nevada, right?
Nevada?
That's the right way to say it.
So according to the state's residents, it's Nevada, like
Yeah.
Ed,
Nevada.
but everyone else calls it odd, like Nevada. And I've been called out on that myself for the way, and I've also been called out the way I pronounce. Where was that place in
Raleigh?
Raleigh. I got some shit. I get shit for everything, but there's nothing I can do. All right, that's it. That's all we have for today. I think we're like 2 hours into it. So this is the twisted history of New Jersey.
Part 1.
With some shibboleth, part 1 with some shibboleths thrown in, which we can go for days on if we want to. What do you got to do? Do we have to
I
promote
want
anything?
more of those. I love those. That's fun.
What do you got coming up? Anything, Jeff? I think I have a bunch of
me.
boxing
Sorry.
shit.
That was a
I have a
good
bunch of
one.
boxing shit come up. Like Andy had mentioned, I just did an interview with John Gotti III, and I'm also on the sit down with my good friend Jeff Nadeau,
Brother.
who reached out to me.
Yeah.
And it's not like I don't speak to Jeff every now and again. Sometimes we'll exchange pleasantries on social media because Jeff and I have always gotten along. But he came in, he's like, do you want to talk about the fight this weekend? And he knows I'm a fight guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, sure.
Barstool
I get on
Boxing.
his thing. Barstool Boxing, thank you. I get on his thing. Jeff does this thing called the sit down, which is all about mobsters. He's got an infatuation and a deep, vast knowledge of mobsters. I think I'm the third person that interviewed John Gotti Jr. since he's come out of like he wouldn't do anything, and
I thought he
now
was
he's
lovely.
doing stuff because his son is fighting. So he had me on more so not to talk about boxing as much as to talk about what it was like to talk to a mobster and whether or not he was very accessible. So I also just did something with.
Not his history. I'm just saying he was very, very polite to me.
Oh yeah,
He
no,
was
he's
very nice.
Yeah, he was a very nice
Yeah.
guy. Yeah, his son got washed by Floyd Mayweather,
Yeah.
but that should be of no surprise. I did Edgar Berlanga
Mm-hmm.
out in Denver last week, so we'll have that out. I think next week,
be
and I think I'm
fighting.
going to be out with Canelo before
Mm-hmm.
they fight on mid-September.
Saturday, September 14th, I believe.
Yeah. So that's it. So we got some boxing stuff coming up.
I do too. I have my pencils with erasers dropping. We interviewed a producer, director named Mike Day. Great guy. It's a good episode. You can find it on Rumble.
Yeah, so Annie kind of breezed over it. It's called Pencils with Erasers. I'm on their first episode. It's Annie and a guy who I think was on the floor of Philly, maybe the SIBO. Yeah, it's Philly. So they try to just pass around floor stories and whatnot. I know Annie's cousin, who I'm close with, Lance Harvey, who's a specialist on the Florida New York Stock Exchange. He was on the show also. I made a special guest appearance on that too because I can't help myself. So it's called Pencils with Erasers. It drops once a week. It's Annie and this gentleman, Danny, and they have people on to pull out like NYSE stories. Anything else we need to mention?
What about you, Vebsy?
Nah, I got something coming out, but we don't have a release day for it. We don't know when it'll be out, but maybe a month.
Do you find that
Did a
like when
game
you
show.
have stuff coming out around football season, the can gets kicked because we're such a football season central place?
Right? I'm not sure. Like I was gonna do an M. Night Shyamalan ranking his movies blog on the weekend, but with football starting, you can't. The weekends are done. You used to be able to throw a blog up on the weekend and it'd do well, but now that football's going, if you're not putting football out on the weekend, it's not getting views.
Yeah, it's tough. And then I think we only have 2 races left that Spider and I are going to, but this weekend is the last regular season race in Darlington for the NASCAR Cup Series season, and then we go into the playoffs, which is another 10 weeks. That's it for Twisted History. I appreciate everybody who sends stuff in. Send in your shibboleth. Send in whatever the hell else you had read from this or gleaned from this podcast. And we'll talk to you guys soon on Twisted History.